Good morning. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I don't know why. But we're gonna do this. We got this game for inexpensive. Oh, hold on. Is that loud? Is it loud? I don't know. Hold on, here, let me turn this on. Okay. So this is a mystery type game. Why am I trying to use my mouse? Not. I guess. Oh, hold on. Where's the cursor? There it is. Settings. I can't change that. Oh. I'll put it in the middle, I think. How do I go back? Oh boy. Hello! This is the game about the brother that becomes the sister's husband, right? No. How do I go back? Not that button. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Oh, there we go. New game. Hey, underdog. How are you? I feel like. We are fans of the Boston, Mass, your office. We are fans of the strange world of Innsmouth, but we recognize the problematic beliefs of H.P. Lovecraft. This game has been produced by a group of people who believe in inclusion and equality. Your progress in the story will be saved at the end of each chapter. There are 35 chapters in total. At the end of a chapter, the screen fades to black and a green save icon appears at the bottom right of the screen. We recommend you always end the game after such a save point to make sure none of your progress is lost. Easy. Boston, 21st September. The last rays of sunshine filtered through the blinds of your empty office. The pathetic stench of whiskey, cold cigarette smoke, and canned ravioli fills the air. The screeching tires and constant beeping of car horns. Yeah, I've been there. Out there on the street tell you that it's gone 8 p.m. People are on their way home, finishing their day. You should join them. Decide. Stay at your desk or go home. Stay at your desk. Your day was long and frustrating. You are running out of ideas on how to handle the calls of people who want money from you. A cold shiver runs down your spine as you flick through a pile of unpaid bills. On the top of the pile is a reminder from your landlady. You're 2 months behind on the rent. Oh boy. The next one is a 3-figure invoice from a games company for an in-app purchases. You tried to claim them as business expenses in your last investigation, but somehow your client refused to pay. Then there's the second reminder from your internet provider threatening to cut off your connection. You might take legal action because without the internet you can't work or live. You really need a little fresh air. You jerk open the blinds. Amongst the dust, the last rays of light shine into your eyes like a laser sight in a spy flick. Hold on a second. I feel like it's really loud. Is it really loud? It is really loud. Okay, hold on. I think it's really loud. Like, the music is really loud. We'll turn it down. It takes a few seconds for your eyes to adjust. Your gaze settles on the Horns and Hooves pub across the street. How many simple jobs this dive has given you? Jealous wives whose husbands you had to spy on. All you had to do was lie in wait at the window and take pictures of them coming out of the dirtiest hole in town. You close the window before you see anyone you know. You breathe a deep sigh. It may not have been a successful day, but at least it's over. You are looking forward to a classic Friday night, watching old mystery series at home in sweatpants and getting drunk on cheap booze. Since the early afternoon, you have been staring at the foreboding bottle of liquor at the other end of the room. Up until now, a vague sense of professionalism has kept you from drinking yourself into oblivion. Now, nothing stands in the way. Suddenly, you hear someone at the door. Who is it? The door slowly cracks open with a timid creak. The unknown guest pauses, then in a breathy and melodic tone, you hear a woman utter, "Hello." Your insides cramp. You suddenly realize that you haven't cleaned your office at all this year. Oops. Hold on a second. Quickly try to clean up or invite her in. I mean, it's too late to try to clean it up, honestly. So we're going to invite her in. By the light of the desk lamp, you now see more than a silhouette. A breathtaking woman lights up your office. No doubt older than 40, maybe even 50, hard to say. Clad in black, a skin-tight dress, culminating in a décolleté that seems to defy the laws of gravity. A smoky eyeshadow as dark as algae washed ashore, blonde, coiffed, wavy hair under a dark beret. The faint light of the setting sun catches in the strands of her hair, and you wonder how many heads this woman must have turned during her prime. She's completely different from your usual customers. Nervous bankers with sweat stains under their armpits, convinced their wives have something going with the mailman. Every move she makes is calculated grace. Smooth as an eel, she walks towards you and sits down on the corner of your desk. Determined, she walks towards you and sits on the corner of your desk, which is a little bold, which makes you blush. A little bold. Without asking you first, but as a professional, you're not giving anything away. She seems to want to play the seductive damsel in distress. The quiet, amused voice of your subconscious is pleased that this stranger may be sharing your enthusiasm for film noir cliches. A far louder voice is surprised that this woman seems to think that a sexy pose and revealing clothes could win you over, and both voices agree that they don't like being manipulated. You don't think that the stranger perched on your table is trying to recover from a hard-working day as a lingerie model, and therefore you see no logical reason for her behavior. When she begins to speak, her voice is smoky and full of promise. My name is Dahlia Marsh. I'm looking for a private investigator. Oh my gosh. Now what? No. Stop. I was told you are one of the best. She extends her hand. You come to the right place. Who did this one? You've come to the right place, lady. What can I do for you? You sit back in your chair and fold your hands over your stomach. The woman seems a little irritated that her provocative behavior seems to have had no effect on you. She moves from the edge of the desk and sits down on the chair opposite you. Yes, She clears her throat. As she continues to speak, the smoky seductiveness creeps back into her voice. My name is Dahlia. I need help. Ask for details. It's about my daughter, Tabitha. She has disappeared. You're pulling out paper and pencil. This is going to be a walk in the park, a walk in the kidnapped kids' park. Well, when did you last see her and where? The woman puts on a fake smile. We live in Innsmouth. It's a small port town north of Arkham. You frown. This is a bit vague. What was your child doing when you last saw her? What hobbies does she have? Oh, kid stuff. They just run around and play with their yo-yos, that sort of thing. Dahlia nervously combs her hands through her hair. Does your daughter have any friends? Yo-yos? What about her father? What does your daughter look like? She's only 8 and the sweetest girl you can imagine. She's been missing without a trace since last week. None of her schoolmates have seen her, and no one knows where she might have gone. She hands you a photo. Look, this is my little munchkin. Okay, good heavens. Is this supposed to be a joke? Is that really the face of a child or a shoddy photo edit? Are you being filmed as part of a reality TV show? A bit of stomach acid and the last bite of your lunch slowly but surely make their way up into the back of your mouth. Throw up in the drawer of your desk. Swallow it. With narrow eyes, you swallow the bile and involuntarily pull a face. Dahlia continues to look at you hopefully. She obviously didn't notice your little mishap. That was close and could have been unpleasant. I'm so desperate. Her eyes lock with yours. Don't you think there's something strange about your child? Ask more questions about the... We're not going to bring up the look of the child. The child has no, Dahlia, did your daughter have any friends? What about her father? What about her father? What about Tabitha's father? Are you separated? Often children reappear with family members. Dahlia smiles sadly. My little one can't swim well enough for that yet. Your pen remains on the same spot on the notepad. What was that supposed to mean? Dig deeper. Excuse me, but you're struggling. I guess so. You're struggling to find the right words to respond to such a cryptic statement. What the hell do you mean by that? The kid can't swim enough? Dahlia turns up her nose. She doesn't seem comfortable with you asking personal questions. Still, she responds, oh, just an old saying in our village, she smiles, but it doesn't reach her eyes. Dahlia turns her gaze away from you and looks dreamily, no, longingly out of the window. Her father was a fisherman. Like most in the village, a few years ago he went out to sea but never returned. His boat was washed ashore weeks later. His colleagues told me that he had finally followed the call of the waves. You keep quiet for a moment. Deceased family members are always a sensitive subject. My sincere condolences. She seems calm. Oh, somehow I always knew that moment would come. I think my husband is in a better place now, and at some point I'll join him. You take a closer look at Dahlia's outfit. Judging by her behavior and clothes, you never would have taken her to be a fisherman's wife. Let's do this one. Does your daughter have any friends she might be staying with? Classmates, sports club members, anything like that? Dahlia silently shakes her head. Very strange. You're about to ask if the girl at least had imaginary friends, but you hold back. I'm not going to talk about yo-yos. I have no further questions, you mumble. More to yourself than to her. Dahlia stretches her neck imperceptibly. No doubt she would like to take a look at your notebook. Your pen hovers over the notes you've taken. Missing daughter, dodgy lady. That's it. You've worked with less. Are you going to take the case or not? You nod. A missing persons case. Nothing unusual. The conventional little girl runs away from home after reading her first romance novel. Usually they hide at the edge of the forest or in a library. Should be pretty straightforward. Before you can say anything, she drops a photo of the child and a roll of bills on your desk for your expenses. You nod slowly, trying not to drool down the front of your shirt. You haven't seen this much money in ages. You don't have much time to prepare. A quick search reveals that only one bus goes to Innsmouth, and only once a day. A pattern emerges in your research. The few news items related to this little coastal town are all about missing persons. Well, that's not good. In addition, you find some rather old-fashioned articles that praise the coastal town as a secret holiday Destination. The best fish, untouched beach promenade, authentic fishing people are the recurring buzzwords. Dahlia has given you the address at which you're supposed to drop off her daughter as soon as you find her. She also wrote down her phone number on the child's photo. You take another look at the picture before you pack your things. The next morning, you travel by bus. And that's chapter 1, apparently. Only 34 left to go. Your journey begins as a bus station. At a busy bus station, there is supposed to be a bus line that departs from there here to Innsmouth. Buses, you think to yourself, are not only an environmentally friendly means of transportation, they're also easy on your wallet. Sadly, the departure boards aren't of much help. New York, Maine, Rhode Island, no trace of Innsmouth as a destination. You wander around for a while until you notice a cleaner eating a sandwich on the side of one of the vending machines. Excuse me, where can I find the bus to Innsmouth? Without letting go of his sandwich, the cleaner points to an abandoned counter in the dingiest corner that a public bus station could be capable of. The man gives you a nod, indicating that anything that can be said has indeed been said. You find that the counter is elaborately decorated with cobwebs. It's a bit early for Halloween preparations, but at least someone's made an effort. At the moment, nobody seems to be there. You press your face against the plastic window to peer into the room behind. Hello? Hello, is anyone there? I have to go to Innsmouth. No one there. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a bus ticket appears on the counter. Might the trip be free? Should you leave payment? Leave a donation. Just take the ticket. Yoink. In all likelihood, the ticket was already on the counter and you simply hadn't noticed it before. Someone must have paid and just left it there. This is what you tell yourself while you are looking for the departure gate with the ticket in your hand. Where's this bus hiding? In between the polished greyhounds and travelers stowing their luggage, saying goodbye and dropping tiredly into their seats, there's a kind of dumpster. A dumpster with windows and wheels. No, it's actually a bus. It's a bit on the rusty side, and even from a distance you sense the strange smell it emits. Is that sulfur? You're not convinced how this thing is supposed to drive. In its vicinity, everything is noticeably quieter than at the other bus stops. The people getting on show no sign of emotion. Nobody's trying to jump the queue here. Instead, the passengers move past the bus driver at a uniform speed, one after the other, shuffling up the creaking steps. Each two-seater bench is occupied by individuals, as if they want to make sure not to come into contact with their fellow passengers. The sign clearly says Innsmouth. Hello. No departure times, no stopovers, just Innsmouth. Hey, Dega. On the bus. Undecided, you're standing on the stairs of the bus. Talk to the driver, show your ticket, sneak past in silence. Let's do that. It seems this travel company doesn't take ticket enforcement so seriously. You decide to blend into the Translate Collective as inconspicuously as possible. Brr. As you pass the driver, a cold shiver runs down your spine. Someone has overdone it with the air conditioning. Does this old clumber even have any air conditioning? You shuffle sideways through the center aisle. You don't remember the bus looking this long from the outside. You are surrounded by shabby two-seater benches, and some are already occupied. One traveler per row. The last bench is free. Looks like the upholstery is torn in some places, though, or has it been split open? You can see springs with sharp wire edges, and some sticky liquid seems to have leaked onto the floor. Why didn't you just sit down in one of the free rows? Here in the back, almost everything is occupied. Most of the passengers seem to have purposefully sat down in the aisle seats, blocking off the window seats. Maybe this is an opportunity to get a little closer to the common Innsmouth visitor. Do we want to sit down with someone or the rear bench? Man, my eye is like irritated. Sorry. What say you? Where should we go? Should we sit down with someone? Maybe we'll sit down with someone. As a nonconformist, you join one of the passengers in a double seat. Since only one man was so considerate as to sit at the window, your options are limited anyway. As far as you can tell, the man is a haggard figure with barely any luggage. The hood of the gray jumper pulled far onto his face. The man looks out onto the street as if something very important is happening there that requires his attention. Is this seat taken? You ask politely. He turns his head and gives you a brief once-over. Without saying a word, he turns away again. Go to the rear bench instead. We're going to sit down anyway. All right, that wasn't a no either. You sit down and regret it instantly. The smell of sulfur is now overpowered by something else. Something that smells like it's been in the sun for too long. You're trying to catch a glimpse of what's under that hoodie. Does this person have genetic defect? Is he malnourished? You're not sure exactly where the problem might be, but you're trying to stay professional. You awkwardly stare at the headrest of the person in front of you. Talk to the stranger next to you. Awkward silence. No talk. This is the chance to get some inside information. Do small talk about veganism. Look the passenger over. Play the tourist. Oh my gosh. You clear your throat before you speak, twitching, and with a slight tremor, the man turns to you. Excuse me, I'm visiting Innsmouth for the first time. Do you happen to come from there? A twitch is all you get. Maybe you should get right to the point. It's hard to tell if you're boring him. Does Innsmouth have any sights? Your neighbor stares in the middle distance. Is he thinking? The silence between the two of you is hardly bearable. The beach, he finally stutters. Your eyes meet again. The old town, he adds. Well, that could have gone worse. Small talk has been ghoulishly slow, so you decide to let it go. This ride is taking forever. The bus leaves the country road and turns off at a wooden sign that says Innsmouth in red flaky letters. The journey continues rather bumpily along a narrow dirt road littered with numerous potholes. In the distance, some houses are already visible, seagulls circling the roofs of the outermost edge of the city. Slowly, all passengers take their bags out from under the seats and get ready. Curious, you look through the front window? We're going to look through the side window. That's odd. The bus passes by a huge, what is this, a scrapyard? Parking lot? Why would something like this be here right outside the city? You pass another wooden sign whose half-peeled writing advertises the Innsmouth Park and Ride area. A lot of cars look like they've been sitting here for years. Sand covers some of the bonnets and windscreens. The front door of the bus opens with a squeak, and you join the monotonous line of locals stepping out of the bus as if in a daze. Almost walking in step, you all get closer to the exit. As you walk down the steps, you have to protect your eyes from the sunlight. Turns out the windows of the bus were tinted. The other passengers shuffle off. Finally, Innsmouth. You examine your surroundings while you stretch your legs, trying to unwind from the stressful journey. No artist could have adequately captured the serenity and beauty of this place. A clear blue sky lights up the town square, which is paved with bright limestone and surrounded by neo-colonial buildings reminiscent of 19th century New England. A fresh sea breeze, crying seagulls, and locals going about their businesses. In the center of the square, water trickles from a fountain. As you stretch your limbs and breathe in the clean air, you're suddenly startled by the water feature right in front of you. The fountain is an enormous fish-like brass creature. An open jaw lined with shark-like fangs spouts brackish water down its massive, inhumanly contorted body. As if that wasn't enough, there appear to be human bodies squirming underneath its massive claws. Their faces are as contorted as yours is right now. How long have you been standing here? Eyes wide open in shock, you feel utterly paralyzed. You start to scan the town square and notice more and more disturbing details. On every corner, you spot ornamental statues and reliefs of fish, but these are not your classic harmless kind of fish. These are pagan symbols and grimaces of supernatural creatures from the darkest crevices of the deep sea. In surrounding houses, you can see faces pressed against the windows. All the locals appear to be watching you. You suddenly start to think that the cries of the seagulls sound particularly human-like. They sound like humans crying out in pain. What happened to the idyllic scene from a few moments ago? Welcome to Innsmouth. Somebody's talking. Welcome to Innsmouth. How nice of you to visit. A small elderly woman waves at you from afar. She beams at you as if you were her long-lost grandchild. She seems very different to the boors you've met so far on the bus into town. Her squealing shakes you out of your nightmarish panic. She's so exuberant. I'm gonna find somewhere to put that. It's so good to have you here. I've noticed you're very taken by our local fountain. It was built in 1704 by Abdul Necratis, favorite artist and friend of Charles Dexter Tillinghast. Hello, VJ. The founder of Innsmouth. The central figure was a present, and it was supposed to commemorate their travels together in Cairo. You can clearly see the Egyptian influences in the Necratis work. Here and here. She points wildly in every direction. And here, but I'm sure you've already noticed this yourself. You look like someone who knows his way around art, she says with a wide smile. You're still in shock. She beams it. We're gonna lie. I'm an art historian, of course. She enthusiastically starts clapping and squealing. A small, plump person in a garish costume who finishes off all her sentence with a delighted chuckle. Oh, I noticed that at once. How rude of me. I haven't even introduced myself. My name is Muriel Pooping Place. I'm the director of the Parks Commission, chief tourism officer, and head of the welcoming committee. Ta-da! Behind Muriel, there's a ramshackle wooden information stand, lovingly decorated with balloons. A colorful painted sign reads, Welcome to Innsmouth. Muriel tiptoes over to her information stand and picks up a whole load of flyers and leaflets from the rickety display case. She looks down at all the paper in her arms and briefly shrieks with laughter. My goodness, why don't you take this city map to begin with? Useful. You take the map and put it in your coat pocket. Would you like to find out more about our wonderful town, which has been awarded the East Coast Stunning Town Award for several years in a row? Actually, I'm looking for something. Here I am, the small plump woman starts giggling. Innsmouth welcomes you warmly. So you're looking for someone. It's not that uncommon for two lonely hearts to find one another in this romantic place. Oh my god. Mention the mid thing. You see, I'm looking for this girl. It's always about a girl, isn't it? Tabitha Marsh. 8 years old. Her mother asked me to take on the case. You take out the photo and Muriel immediately rips it out of your hand. Oh, what a cutie! But I'm sorry to say I've not heard anything about missing girls. How awful. This sort of thing doesn't happen in Innsmouth. Perhaps you can have a look around at the beach or on the playground. There are a lot of kids around there. I'm sure that's where the little one will be. With an unnaturally wide grin, she hands you back the photo, turns around quickly, and makes her way over to accost another tourist family. Okay. You head further into town along the cobbled road in the direction of the coast. Not long ago, the sun was bright in the sky, but already the first wafts of mist are creeping into the streets. The air feels thicker, and the sun can no longer penetrate the fog. Time to think about where you want to go. You slow down. You lean your briefcase against a wall and start pacing up and down the quiet alleyway. You've got an important choice to make right now. The city center is in the north. Even from afar, you can see the outlines of the old and ornately decorated buildings in the main town square. Here you should find the police station, the main shopping street, and of course, the town hall. As a coastal town, Innsmouth also has a harbor. From your research, you found out that this is a bustling area with a dreamy beach. You expect there to be mostly tourists. According to your research, the only hotel in town, the Gilman Hotel, is located in the Old Town. You think about checking in. You could do do with freshening up and getting rid of that bus smell that is still clinging to your clothes. Just as you are about to set off, your heart leaps into your throat. You've forgotten your briefcase. This has never happened to you. You usually take good care of the little you possess. There's nothing you can do about this now. You'll have to wait until your return journey to find out whether someone has handed it in at the lost and found. Still, you could swear that the briefcase was already gone when you got off the bus. But it just said that he leaned it against the thing. Anyway, let's see. Where do we want to go? It's getting late, so we should probably go to the hotel. We're gonna go to the hotel. It's chapter 2. You recognized its roof from afar, and after a long walk, it is now before you in full splendor. The Gilman Hotel. At least it's easy to see that it once must have been a gorgeous building. The hotel resembles an old English country estate, but in its present state, it would be suited as a setting for a very predictable film about teenagers and chainsaw killers. Wild and withered ivy has a firm grip on the walls and obscures the details of the richly decorated facade. A gallery of gargoyles melted into unreal shapes by acid rain and acidic pigeon droppings lines the roof. The many window panes have been neglected for years. Only in a few places has a small area been wiped clean in order to see outside. There are 2 cars in the parking lot, a vintage car with large rust spots and a large gray van. The kind of van you've always been warned about as a child. Inspect the cars, walk around the hotel, go towards the main entrance. Let's inspect the cars. You look around again just to make sure that the people who own the cars aren't hiding somewhere with their shotgun at the ready. The coast is clear. First, you walk over to the antique car. Well, you're not a car expert, but the car looks antique to you anyway. Both seats inside are made of white leather. A bit tacky. You turn away from the antique car and look towards the van. No writing on the side, a regular registration plate. The windows in the front blacked out. Hang on, you have a brainwave. Maybe this is the van into which poor Tabitha had been pulled when she was kidnapped, when she was lured to her awful fate by sweets and lollipops. Like utter nonsense. All of a sudden you realize how absurd this theory sounds. Maybe you would actually solve this case if you did some real investigating and didn't just hang around parking lots. Stealthily, you look around after admiring the old car one last time. You walk back to the hotel. You really hope the inside of the hotel has been looked after a little better than the outside, but you're quickly disabused of that notion. The massive wooden door is difficult to open. Shouldn't the staff be doing this anyway? With a loud creaking sound from the hinges and an exhausted puffing and panting on your part, you manage to open the door and enter the lobby of the Gilman Hotel. You wonder if guests are even welcome in this place. The room is sparsely lit. There are impressive chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, which, if working, would perhaps not quite give the grand hall back its original splendor, but at least convey more warmth. Your first steps tell you that there are rotten floorboards hiding under the thick carpet. The green wall paneling and wallpaper also appear rotten and musty. Maybe. Who knows? This is sort of wet. No way I'm going to check into this moldy dump. Go to the reception. Oh my god. We're totally checking into this hotel, by the way. Before you let yourself be distracted by the questionable interior design and the associated health issues, you walk purposefully towards the reception desk. A small greenish creature stands behind the counter. The loudly humming ceiling lamp above harshly illuminates his silhouette and gives his face hard edges. You can make out every individual speck of dust and dandruff on his dark green velvet collar and crooked shoulders. Maybe they should be dimming the lights after all. The figure smiles at you, or perhaps it's more of a grin. His face unsettles you. You lean forward at an angle to get a better look at him. The corners of his mouth reach all the way up to his dried up ears. His smile looks like it's painted on. His beady eyes lie deep in the cavity of his skull and seem to stare into opposite directions. Has he even blinked yet? And on top of it all, he smells funny. How may I help? You're startled. Take a step back. Welcome to the Gilman Hotel. My name is Cornelius Gilman III. How may I be of service to you? The man's gaze remains unchanged, and his unnatural smile still seems to be etched into his face. You're still surprised that he can talk with that expression on his face. Just a moment ago, you could have sworn he was an inanimate puppet. We're not going to ask him what's wrong with his face. You have beautiful eyes. I would like to book a room, please. I would like to book a room, you begin, and manage not to blurt out, in a different hotel. Perfect. The Gilman Hotel is delighted to be able to welcome you as its guest. May I ask whether you're in Innsmouth for business or pleasure? How long will you be staying with us? Would you prefer a view towards the beach or the skyline of our exciting town? When would you like to be woken up? Do you sleep deeply? Are you traveling alone? Do you have family? Who knows that you're here? Can I interest you in our spa, fitness, and wellness activities? Would you like to subscribe to our newsletter? How long can you hold your breath? Funny story. I've been able to breathe underwater since I was a child. Are we done now? Can I go to my room? The concierge's expression did not change a tiny bit for the duration of your conversation, let alone did he blink. Thank you very much. That was all I needed to know. Now all you need to do is sign here. He tilts his strangely shaped head over to the guest register. Yeah, really weird. We're gonna do J-Doe. Sadly, we're all booked up this season. There's only one spare room. Here's your key for room 666. Enjoy your stay. Oh no. You look at the key, which has magically appeared on the counter. Then your eyes slowly wander past the man to the wall, where countless other keys are hanging. Let's go to our room. You look at a golden panel with the layout of the different rooms and floors. Room 666, there it is, 4th floor, left wing of the building. You walk up the stairs to the upper floors, but you can still feel the eyes of the concierge on you. Panting, you finally reach your floor. An almost endless corridor spreads out in front of you. At the other end, you can see a figure who seems to be as lost as you are. Didn't the building look much smaller from the outside? You walk down the corridor when you notice the figure approaching you. Your brain is mentally preparing itself for benign hotel small talk. But wait, it's you. You walk a bit further and realize you're standing in front of a mirror. That's why the corridor looks so vast. The mirror marks a fork. According to the room numbers, your room should be further on the left. In the corridor towards the right, you see a small yellow sign on the floor. Maintenance. The shining eyes very much out for the twins. Yeah. Let's go this way. Well, you're here already. Might as well. You saunter to the other wing of the building. The corridor winds around several corners and leads you deep into the building. Just when you start to wonder what on earth you're doing here, you step onto something hard. The clicking sound makes you stop in your tracks. You knee down to look at the glinting thing on the floor. It's a set of keys. Several keys on a metal ring, including a hotel key with the exact same curved shape as yours, and a car key with a black plastic cap. Someone must have dropped it. Examine the floor more closely, look for the room that goes with the key, take the key, and go to your own room. I'm gonna examine. No wonder the key hadn't been spotted before. The red and yellow pattern of the carpet was the perfect camouflage, but the key seems to have been the only thing that was dropped here. On the key, there's a number engraved 237. Conveniently, this is precisely the door in front of which you're standing. If only all your cases were that easy to solve. You could now return the key to the guest and have a good laugh about it all. We're gonna knock on the door. In order to not blindside the guest, you decide to knock first. Either these old wooden doors are soundproof, or there's no one in. We're gonna unlock the door. Initiative is just one of your many great qualities. You unlock the door. In your mind, you are still trying to come up with excuses in case there is someone in the room, but only one glance at the state of the room is enough to dispel these worries. The room is completely dark, not because the shutters are drawn, but because all of the windows are plastered with several layers of newspaper clippings. Did a paranoid FBI agent stay here? The smell of something that's been lying in the sun for too long creeps into your nostrils. Enter the room. All of this has intrigued you even more. You flip the light switch and shut the door behind you. 2 of the 3 ceiling lamps have burned out. The remaining bulb is flickering and doing its best. With every step you take, your shoes come off the floor with a squelching sound. You don't even want to know what's sticking to the floor. What a mess. Dented cans lie scattered on the floor. The many pieces of paper scattered on the floor give the room the air of a snowy landscape. If only it didn't smell so disgustingly. Next to the bed, a pile of empty plastic boxes is piled up and a swarm of flies is buzzing around it. One wall is paved with newspaper clippings, notes, and photos. Whoever lives here has spared no effort to create a complex web of places, names, and events. Colorful threads connect almost all the pinned notes with one another. Are you staring at the life's work of a conspiracy theorist? You stroll through the room, opening drawers here and there, but all the cupboards are empty. A few pieces of clothing lie scattered on the floor. At first, you're not quite sure if they belong to a man or a woman. The shirts are plain, but appear to be tightly fitted. Then you discover a bra. Interesting. I want to look at the wall. Photos of well-known buildings have been pasted onto the map. A skull and crossbones scribbled over the area you recognize as the town center. Strange. Isn't this a tourist spot? A few more skulls have been scribbled on apartment buildings and intermittent intervals in the harbor area where the village church is located. The word cult is written. The lighthouse has been circled vigorously with a black pen. 2 exclamation marks have been scratched into the map right next to it. Your gaze wanders across the map and the photos that have been pinned all over the map and the surrounding wallpaper. Your stomach cramps up when you suddenly see Dahlia Marsh's icy smile look down on you from one of the newspaper clippings. Annoyingly, the text is missing. You would have liked to know why her picture was in the newspaper. Looks like the corresponding newspaper has already been discarded. There's no other useful clue, just trash and bits of paper. Damn it. Truly irresponsible, these people who think that no one ever gets to see their paranoia walls. I'm gonna go and take some of the pieces of paper. You grab one of the many pieces of papers lying around on the sideboard. Carefully, you unfold the scrunched up paper so that the piece doesn't rip and you can still read the writing. A Polaroid picture falls out. It must have been stashed here in between the pages. You pick it up and you're not really sure what you were expecting. But you weren't expecting that. It's Tabitha Marsh. It's not simply Tabitha Marsh. It's the exact same photo you have in your possession. Hastily, you fish it out of your coat pocket. You place the 2 pictures next to one another, and indeed, both pictures are identical. How is that even possible with Polaroid pictures? On the back of the photo, Dahlia's address has been noted down in spindly handwriting. Whoever drove that van must also have been looking for Tabitha. You wonder if this was your predecessor. A private investigator who has thrown in the towel. You almost forgot about the piece out of the paper from which the Polaroid had fallen. You recognize the handwriting. It's the same that has noted down the address. Thanks for an incredible night. We must repeat it. Dahlia's handwriting. You sit down on the bed, your eyes still on the note. Your detective instinct is kicking in. Usually it's just lying around in the corner of your subconscious all day, mostly hungover, but it's wide awake now. If Dahlia hired this detective before you, it could only have been a few days ago. Tabitha must have been missing only for a day or two, and her mother flirts with the first investigator she meets. She made eyes at you too, your subconscious tells you. Obviously, you didn't make as good an impression on her as your predecessor did. Oh no, let's get in the bathroom. You knock on the door and announce yourself loudly. No one seems to be in. Lucky. Hard to say what would have been more awkward to acknowledge, your presence or the utter mess all around. You flip the light switch. Guided only by the shine of a flickering light bulb, you step into the bathroom. The air is cold and wet. The bathtub is filled to the brim with water, and there are cosmetic products scattered all over the sink. Inspect the bathtub. Doesn't look like anyone actually took a bath, though. The water is clean and clear. A bottle of shampoo and shower gel stand ready on a little stool next to the bathtub. Their caps are still shut, though. You dunk your hand into the water. It's ice cold. The dirt and the takeaway boxes were a first indication, but now there's no doubt in your mind. Whoever stayed here, lived here, had to leave the room very quickly indeed. Inspect the sink. There are lots of cosmetic products scattered around the sink. There are definitely more than you brought with you. Someone was expecting to stick around for longer. Leave the bathroom. There's still so much to do, and time is running out for you. You leave the bathroom and wonder where else you could keep looking for clues. We're leaving now, apparently. Enough, you seem funny. With deliberately careful steps, you maneuver the obstacle course of bits of paper, clothes, and scrunched up aluminum balls, and leave the room. You pocket the key. You can always have a think later about what you're going to do with it. After 2 more confusing turns and giant mirrors, you reach room 666. Finally, you're going to drop your stuff and take a nap. Good plan. Of course, the door resists being open. You jerk the key back and forth in the lock until you hear a satisfying clicking sound. A soothing warmth hits you as you enter the room. Immediately, the synapses in your brain switch into energy-saving mode. The trip to the Innsmouth has probably taken more out of you more than you had thought. You don't even notice the rest of the room. The side of the bed makes you yearn for a little shut-eye rest. Your hand glides over the tightly pulled bedspread. No dust. That's a good sign, right? You carefully sit down on the edge of the bed just to make sure the mattress doesn't explode upon contact. You're delighted that there's no explosion. You take off your coat and shoes, then stretch out on the bed. A mild but all-encompassing pain that you hadn't even noticed before melts off your spine. Everything is warm and pleasant. You feel free and weightless. Young people call this a power nap. You close your eyes for 10 minutes, then you'll be ready for the rest of the day. Sounds completely convincing. You close your eyes and snooze away. There we go. What was that? Was that the third one? Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Music has changed. You transition fluidly into your dreams. You've only just closed your eyes and you're already somewhere else. Suddenly your worries are very different. You're running in a desolate gray maze of winding alleys. You can hear the cheerful laughter of a small child. If only you could catch up. You could save the child and take them home to safety. You sprint down the path and turn around the corner, then around another. The alleyway stretches out in front of you, but there's no person to be seen anywhere. What was that? Was that a shadow at the corner of the street back there? The silhouette of a figure? Look over your shoulder. You cast a hasty glance over your shoulder, then you see them out of the corner of your eye. Shadows, but they have repugnant bodies. You can't really put it any differently. You catch glimpses of oily skin, swollen boils, and even tentacles. But nothing stays in one place. Everything seems to be constantly moving around, a body in metamorphosis. Patches of skin tear open and close again with awful smacking sounds. You briefly catch a glimpse of the thing that was following you silently. You know you've already seen more than you should have. That short glance was more than enough. No human being can stand looking at this creature without completely losing their mind. It's right behind you. The figure in the distance has already disappeared behind the next corner. Maybe you can still catch up with it. The alleys wind through the town in confusing ways. Nothing makes sense anymore. Wherever you move, you never arrive in the place you expected to. It feels as if, slowly but surely, you're walking right into the jaws of a massive monster. All of a sudden, the walls close in on you, and the path becomes so narrow that you have to walk sideways in order to fit through. Whatever is behind you is getting closer. Squeeze through, keep going. There must be another way. Face the creature. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Don't know what I should do. We're gonna squeeze through. You squeeze yourself further along the narrow pathway. The walls are now so close that they start to tug and scrape at your clothes. The backs of your hands start to burn because you keep scraping them on the surprisingly sharp edges of the rough bricks. Carefully but swiftly, you walk along the alleyway. It almost seems to you as if the walls were built so that your body and your body alone could pass through it. A stencil, and you are the shape. Turn around, keep going. Already the path had been dark and poorly lit, and you couldn't see more than a few meters ahead. But now it seems as if the deepest, darkest night has fallen. Your fingertips continue to glide over the rough wall. Inch by inch, you work your way forward. Something is definitely not right here. The alley you wanted to cross is no longer an alley. The wall all but clings to your body. Every inch of the wall now presses your body and clothes, just as if this alley has been waiting for you and you alone to enter it. Although you can no longer move freely, you appear to be moving forward. Are you still dreaming? You keep going. By now you have forgotten why you started walking in the first place. The stone walls appear to be crawling into your skin, yet you feel sheltered and safe. It has always been your destiny to be here in this place right now. Final destination. At last, you never wake up again. Uh-oh. Oh! I failed! Nightmare. You die in your sleep. Sweet dreams. I died. Well, that is, oh, wait, no. Oh, that's the chapter I got to. Okay, so I made it 3 whole chapters and then died. That's hilarious. So there's... Okay, so let's see how many different endings are there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops. 8 on the first page. 8, 8. So wait, 3. How many different endings are there? I can't believe I died already. So there's 27 different, so we figure there's 3 pages of 8, right? So it's 1, 2, 3 times 8. And then, so it's 24, and then... $25, $26, $27. There's 27 different endings. I have one! I died of a nightmare. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Let's do it again. Hi, shapes. Welcome in. We're gonna skip through. We've inspected the cars. Let's walk around the hotel. You decide to go for a little walk around the estate. Your initial impression of neglect and decay is confirmed on the other side of the hotel. You pass a small garden, which once must have been very beautiful. That is until the person in charge discovered alcohol as a more fulfilling hobby for himself. Between weeds and waist-high patches of grass, you find tons of bottles, almost all of them of the high-proof kind. Yes, I'm having a wonderful day. I hope you're having a great day. Further back, you find piles of discarded furniture, half hidden in the bushes. It seems as if they came from the hotel, and someone was simply too stingy or lazy to call the bulk waste collection. The furniture seems to have been lying here for some time, and rain has made the wood wet and moldy. The chairs and tables are smashed, and the mattress is tattered and full of rusty brown stains. What do we think it is? We're gonna call it wine. Sure. The last leg of your tour takes you past the side exit of the hotel. Judging by the smell, there's fish on the menu, and the garbage truck clearly comes by on an irregular basis. Yuck. Why would a business that relies so heavily on first impressions let the facade of their building deteriorate like this? The Gilman Hotel is probably the only one of its kind in Innsmouth. It's either staying here or sleeping on the beach. You really hope the inside of the hotel has been looked after a little better than the outside, but you're quickly disabused of that notion. The massive wooden door is difficult to open. Shouldn't the staff be doing this anyway? Okay, so that's the same thing we read earlier. We're gonna skip that. I'm wondering if we get... Let's go to reception. We know all of this, so we're gonna skip it. He's gonna ask us a bunch of questions. We're gonna book a room. We're gonna answer all the questions this time. You tick the box next to business. We're gonna do business. How long will you be staying with us? Not sure I'll be able to make it through more than one night. As long as it takes. Favorite view. We want a view of the beach. Would you like to be woken up at 6 a.m. sharp? Do you sleep deeply? Are you traveling by yourself? I'm always by myself. Do you have family? My family is none of your business. I wish to start a family. I have this goldfish called Al. Who knows that you're here? Nobody knows I'm here. Al knows. Why are you asking me all this? Al knows. Can I interest you in yours? Well, yeah, sure, why not? Would you like to subscribe to our news? I do not want to subscribe to your sodding. No, these are all like... These are all mean. Like, why? We'll just say no. How long can you hold your breath? Okay, so we're gonna still use this one. Okay, so we're gonna continue our search for Tabitha. We're not gonna go to our room. Okay, thanks so... Oh! At least you've got a bed for the night. You think it's best not to waste any more time and decide to immediately keep looking for the girl. With quick steps, you hurry out of the building, but you can still feel the eyes of the concierge on you. Time to go and look for Tabitha. We're gonna go. Let's go to the harbor. Oh. I'm sorry, I keep yawning. Innsmouth Harbor is signposted much better than the local hospital. You wonder if a hospital is even needed here. It's a half-hour walk. A mile-long carpet of cobblestones is now ahead of you. The traffic in Boston is more hectic, but at least they have heard of asphalt before. As you keep walking, there are fewer and fewer residential buildings along your path. In their stead, there are now warehouses that must be fish markets due to the smell. You can also hear the occasional metallic clinking from nearby workshops. People in gray raincoats are walking toward you. They're probably fishermen who have some errands to run. Now and again, in that split second, when you pass one another, you catch a glimpse of the faces hidden under the hoods. Puffy eyes that look at you suspiciously. Although there are a few clouds in the sky, there's no chance of rain as far as you can tell. Why are they all wrapped up like that? You wonder if they have a sixth sense for approaching storms. The sound of the rhythmic blows of a hammer nearby tears you away from these thoughts. It would be interesting to watch the work in a shipyard, but little Tabitha is unlikely to be here to play. From a distance, you can already see the masts of the boats, which rise up into the sky like a row of spears. You walk along a small street at the quay, with the harbor basin just behind it. Breathe in the sea breeze, look around. We're gonna look around. The view of the harbor is splendid. Boats of all shapes and sizes are coming and going. Nets are being emptied out, and fish seem to be endlessly splashing into huge freezer boxes. Local trades are being sealed with handshakes, and at the end of a wide headland, a huge lighthouse watches majestically over the bay, the ideal postcard motif if it weren't for the people. You only know fishermen from the movies, and you have to admit that you have certain prejudices. These include they have weather-beaten skin, and the captain always have well-groomed beards. They are either strong, silent types or hard-drinking lads who sing filthy sea shanties. But these creatures in front of you are neither majestic nor leery. They move around more like tragic hunchbacks you'd expect to see in French cathedrals. A few yards to the right, there's a fork in the road and a road sign pointing further north. Its inscription reads, Innsmouth Paradise Beach. In the far distance, you can see a building that looks like a church. Hang on, a church? On the coast? How eccentric. Let's go to the church. The church is located on a hill overlooking the harbor. You're immediately drawn towards it. You stroll along the docks towards the cliffs. You take in the pleasant sea breeze and the hustle and bustle on the ships. Your original mission pops into your mind. This place is so relaxing. It's just too easy to forget about the little girl. Oh. 1 second. My watch needed to be charged. Out of the corner of your eye, you can see 3 fishermen whose boat has just moored. They are not working. In fact, they are not doing anything. They're just standing there staring at you. What are you looking at me for? You shout across at them, giving them an aggressive look. You bet these little CEOs have never before come across a tough city type such as yourself. One of the 3 still observes you with mild interest. The others are already looking at their nets. After a few yards, you turn around again, and they're all gone. The crew must have disappeared below deck in their little boat. What a strange boat. Suddenly, it's utterly plausible to you that people in this town can disappear just like that. You're a little closer to the church building now, and you're relieved to find that there are a few dozen people outside its gates, and they're not the usual creepy Innsmouth kind. The group are gesticulating and discussing something in a very animated manner. Normal people. As you reach the courtyard, you're able to assess the situation a little better. Two groups with about the same number of people are confronting one another, surrounded by a few more reserved onlookers. Two shouty people, who appear to be the representatives of the two camps, are facing each other. A bronze plaque is displayed above the gates to the entrance. Engraved on it, Esoteric Order of Dagon. Ignore the crowd and go into the church. Let's see what they're talking about. Oh my god. You walk up to the crowd. You peek over the shoulders of the stocky figures in front of you, who are listening to the two men and occasionally nod or mumble words of dissent. One of the two squabblers, a weather-beaten man with bulging eyes, is just about to launch into the finale of his speech. And therefore, Dagon is the one God who created us in his own image, and his only son is Obed Marsh, who came to earth as man, and he is Dagon himself, because no, his counterpart interrupts. He is a bearded professor type, dressed in a gray wool sweater, who highlights every word with an aggressive jab of the pipe in his hand. Dagon is the creator of the world, but he is above us. He has no children, or nothing even close to this kind of thing. Even saying that is heresy. It's in the writings of his prophet, Abdul al-Hazred. With a scrunched up face and in high-pitched voice, the sailor repeats these last words, Abdul Hazred. What a load of horse dung. The crowd is now on fire. Their fists are raised, and there's a crackling tension among the onlookers. Oh yeah, and the whole Obed Marsh was born by immaculate conception when Mary Ann Marsh was bathing in the sea story. What do you call that? She was blessed there to receive Obed, and you know it, the bug-eyed sailor shouts out, no longer trying to contain his anger. You know it, he adds, hissing quietly. The ongoing murmur of the crowd is occasionally drowned out by the heavy breathing of the two main speakers. Crowd is up in arms. Enter the church. We're gonna enter the church. We're not gonna get involved. Whatever that is, we're just gonna stay out of it. Why not? You're already here, after all. Almost immediately, two grumpy-looking men clothed like fishermen stand in your way, preventing you from entering the church. They seem to have a competition going as to who can give you the most sinister look. I need to go in here. In there, you murmur, a little intimidated. I don't think so, scoffs the younger of the two. Yeah, I don't think you need to go in here. This is only for the children of Dagon, the older one grunts. They look at you with a glint in their eyes. Leave the church. You decide to leave. Other than religious fanatics, the Church of Dagon does not seem to have much else to offer, and there are enough of those in Boston. You walk down the sloping path from which you have come until you are back at the quay wall of the harbor. Let's go to the lighthouse. Initially, it looked as if the lighthouse was quite close, but as you keep walking, you realize that the trip is much longer than you expected. The harbor. A path consisting of jagged rock leads to the lighthouse in the harbor. The lighthouse is on the end of a narrow strip of land, and as you walk towards it, the surging waves risk drenching your clothes in icy salt water. It takes all your concentration and some balancing not to wipe out on the slippery rocks. In your mind's eye, new bills are already fluttering in the mailbox. One from the shoe repair shop and one from the physiotherapist. An overturned wooden sign lies on the ground between a few of the rocks. You read the label. Warning, absolutely no trespassing. Innsmouth hasn't been precisely inviting since your arrival, so you already know the tune. You approach the lighthouse looking for shelter, but with every step you take, the place becomes more and more unwelcoming. The gray clouds transform into a mighty storm. Lightning strikes the top of the tower and sparks fly. Despite the storm, the lighthouse keeper hasn't put on the signal, so there is no beam of light to guide boats out there safely to the harbor of Innsmouth. Soon you're completely drenched, but you make it at last. You're standing at the door leading to the inside of the lighthouse. Some joker has scratched something into the flaking white layer of paint on the surface of the door. Do not come any closer. They want your body. This sounds suspiciously like a UFO sect, a sex cult. Danger. You've had to be pretty damn stupid not to take this improvised inscription seriously. An old lighthouse holds many potential sources of danger. The rusty structure is about to fall in on itself, has unsafe railings and stairs, and there just may be a madman with a shotgun waiting for you. You consider the dangers that this dilapidated old building may hold, a fragile building about to collapse. UFO nutters with aluminum hats, sex-hungry, mindless, naked cultists, house dust. Not to mention the missing girl that you need to find. Still, how often do you come to a place like this? Almost automatically, your hand comes to rest on the black iron door handle and pushes it down slowly and carefully. The door opens a crack, giving you a small glimpse into the neglected interior of the lighthouse. Darkness. Enter. Return to the harbor. We're going to enter. Unsure what to do next, you peek into the darkness. It's a dark, tall building. A very, very tall and thin building, admittedly. It is highly unlikely that the lighthouse will collapse today of all days. At least this is what you keep repeating in your mind, like a mantra. You step inside. It's dry but cold. The icy, stale air cools your shivering limbs even further. A spiral staircase leads up to the higher levels into the top of the lighthouse. On the higher floors, you can see round windows in the side of the wall through which thunder and lightning throw brief flickerings of light. Even the lowest corridor catches some of this light, so that you find yourself not completely in the dark. There are also some lamps that wind up along the banister. The black and white tiles on the floor have probably not been cleaned since the dawn of time. Storage boxes are cluttered around the place and take up about a third of the area of the ground level. To your astonishment, the walls of the lighthouse consist of a solid stone foundation. The metallic red and white painted exterior cladding must have been installed sometime later as a modernization measure. You think that a sex cult in here is now a bit unlikely, but you do not want to give up hope just yet. What now? Flip the light switch, inspect the boxes, walk up the stairs. We're gonna put the light switch on. Trying won't hurt, unless, of course, you blow a fuse. You flip the light switch and wait in the twilight for something to happen. You know from old lamps in the cellar that they sometimes need a little time. You flip the switch again and again. You come to the conclusion that you'll have to make do with the pale daylight. As you look more closely, you realize that there's an inscription just above the light switch. We're gonna read it. You manage to make it out. Activate to close the electrical circuit. Electricity powers many machines, especially those giving off light and warmth. Uh-oh. Indeed, that is how light switches work. I lost my cap. Where'd it go? I love dropping things. Okay. We're going to inspect the boxes. Considering that the lighthouse is easy to reach from the port, it strikes you as odd that there are all of these supplies here. The boxes seem to hold food supplies, which make up the bulk of the goods, and loads of spare electrical parts. You inspect one of the open crates that, according to its label, has been delivered from a company from Salem, by a company from Salem. Spare lamps, tools, wiring. In the theory, even a dusty system such as this one can be brought back to life with all these parts. The food is not quite to your taste, but efficient. Tinned tuna, sauerkraut, and all kinds of canned fruit still fill over half of the one of the crates. 4 of the boxes are empty. 12 others are still untouched. Whoever lived here must have avoided contact with the locals like the devil avoiding holy water. Finally, some sensible people. I guess we're climbing up the stairs. The banister has suffered the most age damage. The ravages of time have not only worn away the paint on the metal, but also the iron struts and pillars themselves. The scaffold seems to move precariously as you walk up, just as if the construction is about to collapse. When you're halfway up the stairs, you can hear a loud metallic creaking sound. The stairway suddenly jerks down a little, and your insides feel like they continue dropping to the ground. Fine dust flutters down onto your head. You try to guess the depth of the fall. If the structure were to collapse now, You would break quite a few bones, or worse. The chances of you getting caught up in a sex cult decrease with every step you take. So, my guess is we should turn around. If we keep walking, we're gonna die. You rattle the banister again to check for stability. The iron wobbles and gives way easily, not the kind of thing you're looking for in a banister. You turn around and walk down the few steps you've taken back to the entrance level. With your hand on the doorknob, you look around one last time. This lighthouse is really damn high and old. You open the door and leave the building. Finally, you can go back to looking for the missing girl. I think if I would have continued up, I would have died. You let the heavy metal door fall shut again. As the lock clicks with a muffled sound, you feel a sense of relief. A weight seems to have fallen off your shoulders. The strange notion that you have almost escaped a dire fate spreads all through your body. But with every step you take away from the lighthouse, that feeling disappears again into nothing. Sweet oblivion. The way back to the harbor, via the stone path, becomes easier with every step. By the time you've made it through the uneven stretch back to the mainland, the dark clouds have completely disappeared, and the previously lashing wind has given way to a tepid sea breeze. It's also stopped raining. Only your soaked clothes still bear witness to this short but intense wonder of nature. Okay. What a strange place. As if to reassure yourself that the lighthouse really exists, you look back over your shoulder. It's still there, with its faded red and white paint. It seems to you like an old sepia-tinted photo from a long-forgotten time. You speed up. You're suddenly yearning for human contact, although you're not entirely sure why. Hi, Dan. How are you? Now we're going to go to the beach. The beach. The screeching of seagulls, an endless white, brown, okay, fine gray beach, and the sound of the waves, potentially clean water. The algae are way too dense to really tell. You walk on the sand and move a little closer to the waterline, curious about what you might discover there. Although the sea is not stormy and the tide is low, Innsmouth Beach is not really a touristy place. Everything is simply too gray. This is what you associate with a real vacation. Sea, cocktails, and television. The sea. The sea, on the horizon, the ocean looks limitless. The rhythm of the waves is hypnotic. Spending time here is much better than visiting the dive bar next door. In the future, you should make day trips to run down coastal villages more often. Lost in thought, you keep wandering over the dunes. You notice how all the colors of the sea and the beach seem to be swallowed up by the strange light conditions here. You hold your hand up in front of your face. Your skin looks gray and matte, but still you feel relaxed. The murmur of the sea invigorates you. You feel a deep sense of longing within you, a serene sense of inner peace and freedom, until the techno music starts. A monotonous beat. The sound seems to come directly from the beach bar a few hundred yards off in the distance, which appears to be surrounded by about a dozen people. Given the changing weather, it's perhaps no surprise. What else is one supposed to do on this beach apart from drink cheap cocktails and dancing to bad music? Something strange grabs your attention. A kind of cage standing in the shallow water, perhaps 12 feet wide and deep. We're going to go to the cage. Thanks to the low tide, you are able to get close to the strange object. The sea has retreated into the distance, and so the cage stands there looking strangely lost. As you approach it, you take off your shoes and socks and turn your trouser legs up a little. Finally, you stand in front of the cage. There is a visible line on the cage about 3 feet from the ground. The metal on the top half still looks quite stable. The bottom half must normally be submerged in water. Slimy black algae winds around the metal rods. Ooh. Is this the position of the cage? The size of the cage? Position. Very strange. The dunes are not that far away. On your way, you notice that this is part of the beach that usually remains untouched by the water. So even the high tide doesn't get to it. You must have only walked 50 yards. Even if the tide comes in, you think that the cage will never actually be completely submerged in water. But isn't that the point of these things? You start thinking about lobster cages, and then shark cages. That's all you find here. You linger for a bit, then walk back to the sandy part of the beach. The cries of the seagulls are increasingly drowned out by early 90s techno beats. One note, that's all some people need to enjoy themselves. One note in an endless loop. I'm good. How are you? The owner of the beach bar has taken great pains to make up for some of Innsmouth's deficits. The bar is made from wooden planks and features a nice countertop and exotic canopy made from palm trees. Admittedly, the palm trees are no longer green. They're gray and dried out, just as if a demon had sucked the life force out of them. But it's easy to imagine that all this must have looked quite pretty once. The bar is flanked by wooden bar stools, and a few meters away, towards the ocean, 2 rows of deck chairs have been put up so that people can get drunk while lying down. From a distance, the bar looked busy, but now, as you arrive, you realize the party is already over, if it ever did take place. A dozen people hang out here. A few surfer dudes stagger about like zombies. Some of them carry empty cocktail glasses around. Some of them yell, "Party!" and woo enthusiastically. Precisely this kind of people. A guy with long hair and sunglasses nods his head in time to the techno beat and taps along on the bar counter with his flat hand. There's no bar staff in sight. One of the tourist families you had spotted on the way here has spread out on the deck chairs. They're evidently trying to keep away from the party. You look around. Sit at the bar. Take up one of the deck chairs. Sit at the bar. You follow an instinct and sit down at the bar. This place reminds you of your favorite bar in Boston, only that here there's sand on the ground instead of vomit. You feel at home. Some hippie is poking at the slushy fruit remains in his cocktail glass with a straw. He nods over to you as you sit down. That is clearly not his first name. Where's the bartender? Where's the bar? He stops poking the fruit in his glass around and pushes his bandana in place. Dunno. Things were really happening, you get me? Then Zeke took off about an hour ago, and since then, no booze. He sighs. It's the kind of sigh that you might hear from a war veteran. Why would someone simply leave a busy beach bar, a bar with an unattended supply of alcohol? Something's not right. Wait for his return. Time passes. Your bottom slowly becomes numb on the uncomfortable bar stool. But by now, you're too lazy to move. Finally, yeah, about time, some of the tourists proclaim. What's going on there? A bored-looking man enters the area behind the bar. You wonder how old he is, but it's really hard to tell. He is wearing a stained green shirt, and his squiggly G is embroidered on the left breast pocket. This must be Zeke, the bartender. He's like a fish man. When word of the barman's return has spread, holiday makers swarm the beach bar like bees around a honeypot. Sorry it took so long. Part-time job at the hotel, he says, bored, and attaches a little sign to his shirt which reads, "Happy to serve you today, Ezekiel. You get 1 round of Innsmouth specials on me." He expertly lines up a row of tall highball glasses and begins to cut up a pineapple. People start cheering, "Go Zeke, go Zeke." 2 young men start chanting. They enthusiastically jump up and down while hugging each other. It takes a while until the first rush of the bar is over. Is this place always this busy? We're going to try this special. You're curious. What's the Innsmouth special? An STD? This is the best drink on the whole East Coast, baby, one of the techno guys sings songs drunkenly. Considering the way he holds himself up, it borders on a miracle that he manages to string a coherent sentence together. The surrounding people merely nod. Nobody seems to know which ingredients are actually used in the concoction. We're going to try a sip. Better drunk than sorry. Cheers, Ezekiel mumbles without looking at you. He calmly continues to chop pieces of pineapple to prepare the next batch of drinks. You sip from the glass, and the taste of strong alcohol is bitter on your tongue. The orange juice and pineapple pieces barely hide the high rum content. Admittedly, you've previously exposed your body to much worse fluids. It tastes awful. Party or put the glass back. We're gonna party. Have another sip. Party, you shout and raise your fist into the air. Woohoo! Party, the other young people scream. Before you know it, you're part of a party crowd. If only you had known 10 years ago how easy it is to make friends. You raise your glass. A young blonde named Cheryl or Sherry or Cherry, or was it Sharon? Anyway, she's in the process of scribbling her phone number on one of the hippies' wrists. Unfortunately, nobody has a pen at hand, so she uses a gull feather. But it's the thought that counts. You empty your glass and hand it to Ezekiel. With a heavy heart, you leave the man to his work. You've already spent too much time during this investigation at the beach bar. So what now? The sea breeze makes you sleepy. You trot towards the deck chairs in a haze. It can't hurt to just rest for a moment. It means you'll be able to resume your mission full of energy, or whatever. Most of the chairs are free. All offer excellent views of the sea and the increasingly cloudy horizon. You're spoilt for choice. Over to where the tourists are, to somewhere more private. We're going to go to where the tourists are. Why not? Maybe you'll be able to learn their language if you spend some time around them. It's one of the families you've already noticed a few times. Happily chatting parents who are constantly eating and their chronically bad-tempered children. The four are hard to miss with their loud chatter and tasteless tourist outfits. They've settled down on the deck chairs, sipping on some soft drinks. You clear your throat, the international sign for "Hello there, I would like to say something." I'm looking for this girl. Do you know what these cages are for? I'm looking for this girl, you say, and show them the photo of Tabitha. The parents bend forward and squint in order to see the little face better. Nope, sorry, the father says, and go back to sipping his fruit juice. Nope, me neither, the wife adds. Nothing, then. Do you know what the cages are for? That strange frame alone in the water, in the middle of nowhere. You have to keep thinking about it. Do you know what these cages are for? You ask the parents. Oh, those? The father's face lights up. We've just taken some photos of them. I think they're for children to climb on. They're not meant for children, his wife chips in. That's how people here catch lobster and whales and things like that. Bullshit, the son murmurs. He pokes the sand with a wooden branch, probably imagining he is stabbing someone. They're from the Middle Ages, and people were put in there to drown. Aw, kids. Nothing, to hell with them. Who are you kidding? You decide to lean into your antisocial side. You get comfortable on the deck chair, and incoherent chatter of the family remains merely a static noise in the background. Not too shabby. The dark clouds drawing together on the horizon worry you a little, but they're far away enough for you to simply enjoy this moment on a beach. Technically, you've been near a beach the whole time, but you couldn't really switch off. There was a haunting sense of danger, a feeling of paranoia that you simply couldn't shake off. Luckily, the paranoia has now gone. A cool sea breeze caresses your face as you tune out the other tourists' annoying conversations. You listen to the murmur of the waves, the regular to and fro of the sea, has a soothing effect on you. Your eyes fall shut. The next thing you hear is a swishing sound. You're awake and regret it instantly. Your head is pounding. It's cold. You're freezing. After you had settled down quite comfortably on one of the deck chairs, you now seem to be standing upright. You're pretty damn sure of that. Uh-oh, we're about to die. You're standing upright, facing the sea. The green, unhealthy glow of the moon is the only source of light in the dark night. Not only did you take a nap, but it appears that you slept through the whole day. You start to move in order to make your way back to the harbor, but something holds you back. Your hands simply won't follow you. You realize that you have been tied to some sort of pole. Your fingertips can feel a rough and splintery surface. A wooden pole. Have you been kidnapped? Have you been hypnotized? Are you dreaming? It could all just be a dream, a nasty, cold, and uncomfortable dream. A dream with astonishing details, so much so that you are even able to make out empty beer cans in the sand that are caressed by the waves. Okay, maybe this is not a dream after all. Son of a bitch, you hear a voice say. They sound familiar, and you think it might be one of the guys who was demanding a drink at the beach bar earlier, and you had assumed you were by yourself. Hello, you ask hopefully. Hey, did he get you too? You wriggle around to try to look at the guy, but no luck. The ties keep you firmly in position without much room to move about. Hey, are you able to untie me? Who are you? Who are you? You ask bluntly. I'm Dave. I've been, he interrupts himself. You've been pretty certain he's about to make a lame gesture. Partying here. I must have overdone it somehow. I haven't got a clue about how I got here. Time to take stock of the situation. You've been tied to a pole. Salt water spills into your shoes at regular intervals, and your socks are soaked. In front of you, the vastness of the sea. It would be relaxing, actually, if it weren't so terribly cold. Hey, what's that? An unfamiliar voice asks behind you. How many people there with you? Whatever they were talking about, you can't make out anything apart from the green, shimmering waves and the pale moonlight. What was it? I don't know. Something. Maybe it was a fish. I wouldn't panic if it was a stupid fish, Alan. I know what a damn fish looks like. There, you saw something. Something broke through the surface of the water, only to immediately dive in again. Something smooth and slimy. You squint. It would have been better not to have had any of this cheap hooch from the beach bar, but it's too late for that now. Overall, it would have been better to do many things differently if only you could turn back time. Work on your damn mission. That's right. Where's the child you were supposed to find? Not at the beach, that's for sure. If only you could turn back time, you'd do things much better. You would track down the child, collect the reward, and return to Boston triumphantly. The splashing sound. There it is again. It's coming closer. Increasingly nervous, you look over the waves. A shark in shallow water, an army of killer jellyfish, or a giant raging crab. You're not really sure, but it is you're looking out for. Your unhelpful brain comes up with more and more sea creatures, but you actually have no idea what these animals feed on. Something cold suddenly settled around your ankles. You scream, panicked, because it's cold and wet and strange. Wrong, wrong. Not from here. Definitely not from this world. It can see you. They can see. They can all see you. They will. One of the men behind you curses loudly and you return to your senses again. Holy, someone behind you says, then falls silent in the middle of the sentence. Something crawls along your ankles, higher and higher, moving under the fabric of your clothes. Then there are more, 2, no 3 more tentacles slowly glide around your belly, over your arms and around your hands. You look at the creature that's tangling itself all around you. It is milky white and slightly transparent, almost like a jellyfish. It has suction cups that stick to your skin. It holds you in a vice-like grip. By now, you are profoundly terrified by the ice-cold touch of the creature. You try to scream for help again, but no sound escapes your lips. You can hear quiet whimpering from behind you, so you assume that the people who are tied up behind you can clearly see what is engulfing your body. You try to gasp for air, but there is this pressure on your chest. The blood supply to your body is interrupted in several places, and a numbness sets in. Several places in your body alert you to the fact that you urgently need to change something about this situation. By the time your ribs crack, you've already passed out. Screams, the last thing you ever hear in your life are the screams of your fellow prisoners. We just died. The Song of the Sea. Tentacles pull you into the depths of the sea. Innsmouth waves take me home to the place I belong. Another bad decision. We shouldn't have drank the drink, I think. Okay. Well, we don't do that again. Death number 2. We're gonna go to the beach bar. Although I'm wondering if all of these are death, it doesn't matter. We go somewhere more fun. Stay away from it all. You decide on the deck chair that's the furthest away from the beach bar and its visitors. Yet you're not alone. It's the family you've already noticed a few times today. Happily chatting parents. We've already done that. Damn it. Nope, we just died again. So we need to leave the bar. Oh, wait. We're gonna go to the hotel. Why not? It's freezing and you've already screwed up the case. Wait. How do I want to restart it. Because I wasn't reading it. Hold on. This is all the same. Happily chatting parents who are constantly eating or are hard to miss with their loud chatter and tasteless tourist out. They've settled down on the deck, sipping on some soft drinks. Not too shabby, the dark clouds drawing together on the horizon worry you a little, but they're far away enough for you to simply enjoy this moment on a beach. Technically, you have been near a beach the whole time, but you couldn't really switch off. There was a haunting sense of danger, a feeling of paranoia that you simply couldn't shake off. Luckily, the paranoia has gone now. Cool breeze caresses your face as you tune out the other tourists' annoying conversations. You listen to the murmur of the waves, the regular to and fro of the sea. It has a soothing effect on you. Your eyes fall shut. Okay. It's cold. You're freezing, which is annoying because you had settled down quite comfortably on one of the deck chairs. You could swear you'd noticed a shadow while half asleep. There was a figure who tried to grab you and carry you away. Was that all a dream? A chilly wind blows on your face. Oh, damn it. This case is going to be the death of you. You simply lie there as if dead. Your attempts to return to a more comfortable position are punished by a stabbing pain in your behind. Some bit from the chair is digging into you. Probably a cheap model. Damn tight asses, you mutter weakly and push yourself into an upright position. The sun has now set, and all other holiday makers have gone. Instead of freezing their asses off, they're probably sitting in a warm hotel by now. The moon still illuminates the beach, and the waves shimmer in its eerie green glow. Green. Nature is fascinating. You stretch your tense neck, but when you notice some lights off in the distance. Night has fallen, and with each passing minute, it seems to get chillier. The lights appear to be moving and are heading away from the town. You wonder whether you should take a closer look at the spectacle or go to your warm hotel. We're gonna go to the hotel. Why not? It's freezing and you've already screwed up the case. The day is over and there's no way you'll manage to find the little girl today. Off to the hotel. You leave the beach bar with a heavy heart and walk back to the harbor. We survived that. A gray veil covers the town. The light of the sun drains away, and with it, any residual heat. Although Innsmouth is a boring coastal town and probably doesn't have any secret gangs, you feel relieved when you see the gables of the Gilman Hotel. On your way here, you distinctly felt as if someone or something was following you. You could swear there were shadows. They were only visible for a fraction of a second. Whenever you entered an alley, these fleeting shadows, they are still there lurking, somewhere in the dark. You can feel it in your gut. You'll soon be safe. The growing paranoia, the constant glances over your shoulder. Soon you can forget about all of that. Grabbing a bottle of Jack is the only movement required once you're in your hotel room. The parking lot in front of your hotel is completely empty. Have all the guests left? Does Innsmouth even have a peak tourist season? Fortunately, the entry gate is not locked. In fact, everything seems just as it did this afternoon when you left the hotel. Not a soul around. The chandeliers light your way into the foyer, and the creaking floorboards welcome you. As you enter the foyer, you can hardly believe your eyes. Who is waiting for you at the reception? None other than Cornelius Gilman III, and you could swear he is in exactly the same pose in which you left him. He stands motionless at the reception to greet him. You can't just completely ignore the only other person in the building. You stroll leisurely to the reception desk, nod at Cornelius. How nice to see you. I trust your stay in Innsmouth has been pleasant so far. Agree. Yeah, great, you automatically reply, the same way you do when a child presents you with a particularly ugly drawing. Fantastic. In that case, I hope you have a good, sound sleep. You nod again. He is awfully polite. You keep standing there for a while, smiling insecurely at the concierge. If there is a creepy smile contest, he definitely won. Not that this was ever in much doubt. You walk up the stairs to your floor, then you stroll along the long corridor until you reach the fork with a deceptive mirror. You briefly consider your appearance. You look quite exhausted. Okay, go do what you were doing. Quite exhausted, probably like anyone who spends their holidays in a town like Innsmouth. What? Sure. Are you imagining things, or do your eyes seem a little puffy today? All the more reason to go to your room. You venture deeper into the bizarre labyrinth of this hotel floor. You manage to find your room, and you only get lost once on the way. You quietly open the door and enter. Well, it is barely necessary to switch on the light. You walk towards one of the windows and look out into the starry sky. A huge, strangely green glowing moon illuminates your room with a spotlight. The whole room is plunged into a surreal glow. Unfortunately, there are no window blinds to block out the light. Off to bed. Or should we freshen up? Fresh armpits are what distinguish humans from animals. You enter the bathroom under the flickering ceiling light, whose lamp has probably never been replaced. Take a closer look. Freshen up quickly. You quickly brush your teeth and give yourself a quick wash. These away from home jobs, you realize how far away you are from your home, your dirty apartment, and even dirtier office. Now that you are finally ready for bed, your body feels as heavy as lead. You stand in the middle of the room. The warm, stuffy air gives you a pleasantly tired feeling. You are safe here. There might be incestuous maniacs out there on the streets, but here you are safe from them. You drop on the bed like someone who has no intention of ever getting up again. Oh no. You transition fluidly into your dreams. You've only just closed your eyes and you're already somewhere else. Suddenly your worries are very different. You're running in a desolate gray maze of winding alleys. You can hear the cheerful laughter of a small child. If only you could catch up, you could save the child and take them home safely. You sprint down the path and turn around the corner, then around another. The alleyway stretches out in front of you, but there's no person to see anywhere. What was that? Was that a shadow at the corner of the street back there? The silhouette of a figure? We're gonna run faster. The figure in the distance has already disappeared behind the next corner. Maybe you can still catch up with it. The alley winds through the town in confusing ways. Nothing makes sense anymore. Wherever you move, you never arrive in the place you expected to. It feels as if slowly but surely you're walking right in the jaws of a massive monster. All of a sudden, the walls close in on you, and the path becomes so narrow that you have to walk sideways in order to fit through. I'm gonna face... we did this before and we died. There must be another way. Take a step backwards. The buildings of the strangely narrow alley send high up into the sky. Innsmouth didn't have buildings that high, did it? No windows for you to climb in, no door you could knock on, and there is still something behind you. Keep moving, keep moving. There's no point in following this endless labyrinth forever. With bated breath, you turn around and look down the street you just came from in order to face whatever it is you're pursuing you. No matter how hard you try, your eyes refuse to look directly at the tentacled meatball right in front of you. Seems to be only a small outgrowth of a much larger but also shapeless and impossible creature that is following you. You begin to despair. We're gonna look at it directly. It wasn't so bad after all, you thought, when you opened your eyes. Panting, you wake up In one panicked movement, you throw the blanket off the bed. What a nightmare. At least it's over now. Your room is still plunged into the greenish light from the moon. It's still the middle of the night. We're going to walk around the room. You always wanted to walk up and down a stately room. You may not be puffing the required pipe, but you can't have everything. You could swear. You can't have everything. You could swear that the eyes of one of the portraits on the wall are following you around the room. I'm going to take a closer look at the portrait. It is the grim portrait of Captain Obed Marsh. Huh. It does look as if Obed's eyes are somewhat deeper in the image. Prick one of the eyes with a pencil. Have a staring contest. You stick a pencil into one of the very lifelike eyes in the portrait. Contrary to expectation, tip of the pencil does not meet solid resistance. Ah! Someone right behind the wall yells. A latch drops and Obed Marsh's portrait eyes are back to normal. They look no less creepy. You awkwardly look at the pencil and quickly put it back on the dresser. You approach the window. Even from a distance, the light of the moon blinds you. Everything is bathed in an unreal green shimmer. The stately houses across the hotel, the neglected, wildly growing hedges on the sidewalk, the mob armed with torches looking up into your room. The what? They're staring up at you. It's hard to tell who these hooded people are without warning. Wanting to be prejudiced, you assume that they are the good citizens of Innsmouth. Some of the figures point with their torches to your room in the higher floor. Then they limp towards the hotel entrance. You briefly wonder if these kind people might know anything about missing children. Take flight or barricade the door. We're back into almost dying. With your heart pounding, you grab your trench coat and tiptoe to the door. Enough time wasted. The carpet fortunately muffles most of your steps. Only now and then a rotten floorboard gives a telltale sign. You rush down the hall until you get to the fork. The foyer. First impulse is to leave the hotel, but the only exit you know is in the lobby. With any luck, old Mr. Gilman is still on duty. You're not quite sure if he saw a phone at his desk, but you're pretty sure he'll be able to call the police for you. Your heart is beating faster and faster. You run through the corridors, and you run straight into the mob. 24 strangers dressed in hooded robes are gathered in the corridor. Only one man has taken off his hood, so you have to endure looking at his bizarre face, pop eyes, sunken cheeks, and pupils that you only know from the animal kingdom. How nice of you to join us, he croaks with obvious satisfaction. We were short on time anyway. Yeah, Kadul something. The group starts to chant. One of his arms reaches up to take a swing at you. In the dim light of the foyer, you make out something shiny, but it's only there for a fraction of a second. Then all your attention is focused on your throat. All of a sudden, it's impossible to breathe, and there's pain that spreads mercilessly. We just died again. The strangers keep repeating their strange sentence while you sink down onto your knees. You can feel blood running down your neck. You gaze down at the carpet. Despite the darkness, you think that you can make out a few blurred dark red spots on the fabric, but maybe you're just imagining things. We just died again. We died again. Let's see. Killer of a book story. It is. Freshen up. Your hands close around the edge of the wash bay and you slowly lean towards the mirror. The flickering, glaring light of the ceiling lamp is not exactly flattering. Have you always had those round pop eyes? Has your nose always been that sunken in? And you suddenly you should really do something about these bulging wrinkles on your jaw and neck. Maybe a facelift, like all those Hollywood stars who tragically found themselves on the wrong side of 25. Stop looking. The thoroughly exhausting and you just want it to be over. You don't need a mirror and cruel bathroom lighting to tell you that you look awful. You quickly brush your teeth and give yourself a quick wash. These away from home jobs, you realize how far away you are from your home, your dirty apartment, your even dirtier office. Okay. Now we're back into this, our dream. So we're gonna run faster. Must be another way. Let's try to face the creature. We're gonna wake up. Okay, so we woke back up. We survived the nightmare. We're gonna look out the window. You approach the window, even from a distance, the light of the moon blinds you. Oh, this is like the torches. So, we're gonna barricade the door this time. They won't come into your room at this time of night. You're a good girl. A blockade should buy you some time. It's almost as if the panic gives you superhuman strength. Without losing much time, you pile up cupboards and wedge them together to build a strong defense. Someone slips a key in the lock of your room from outside. Your insides cramp. How is it possible that strangers have access to your room, but your grudge against Mr. Gilman must wait? You have other worries right now. The doorknob jerks. Someone pushes against the door, but is stopped by your furniture barricade. A few inches, that's as far as the stranger gets. Finally, the angry voice outside speaks out. Okay, does anybody here not have mutated hands? Silence. Spellbound, you listen, but all you can hear is the beating of your own heart. Damn it, growls the stranger. The people start to complain and accuse each other. People seem to be walking up and down, but eventually they move away from your room. It sounds as if doors to other rooms are being opened. Slowly you sink down to the carpet. You didn't notice it before, but you are now bathed in sweat. When you can no longer hear footsteps or shouts from outside, you stagger back to your bed. Although you are not 100% sure whether you are safe, sleep tempts you. It's just after midnight and your eyes are tired. Was this the only horde of armed lunatics on the road at that time? You spend the rest of the night comfortably cuddled in bed, awake and alert under the bed. I don't know. Do we try to go back to bed? The bed is too warm and comfy for such unimportant things as staying alive to keep you from snuggling back into it. Relieved about your decision, you scurry under the blanket and lay your head on the pillow. You spend the night in a deep, dreamless sleep. Then it's dawn. In a haze, you walk into the bathroom and change. Your face in the mirror above the sink looks like it's aged by many years. You walk through the corridors, then down the stairs to the foyer. You give Mr. Gilman the key. I hope you had a pleasant night in your hotel. In our hotel. Very nice of you to bring back the key. Would you be so kind as to fill out our questionnaire? With a stiff smile, he hands you a sheet of paper and a pen. You rip at the paper, write obscenities in different bounds, fill in the questionnaire. You roll your eyes pointedly, but then you start to fill in the form truthfully, apart from current personal details. Would you recommend the Gilman Hotel to your friends? How satisfied were you with our service? Was there always a contact person available for you? You whistle quietly. The nerve of him. You love to ask Mr. Gilman questions about everything that went on last night, but an instinct that usually prefers to sleep advises you to get out of here while you can. None of the holiday makers that you met around town yesterday are anywhere to be seen on your way back. The bus leaving Innsmouth for Boston's already waiting for you. It seems to be just waiting for you and a handful of disfigured villagers. Not a single tourist among the travelers. They were probably much smarter than you and all arrived by car. When the old bus starts to move, you decide to stop thinking about it. Months later. Boston, 13th November. You jerk away. Only the pale moonlight seeps through the blinds of your apartment. It must be very late in the night. You're soaked in sweat, as per usual. You sit up on the edge of the bed and try to calm down. You're safe. You're at home. You've managed to put an end to their schemes, the kidnapping and all the lies. You've escaped, but you're still under the spell of Innsmouth. A bad feeling. You returned to Boston. You did everything you could. Okay. I don't get it. So we didn't die. We returned home. We didn't find the girl. Hmm. Oh. No. Main menu. So, wonder how I don't know. Do we just start a new one? Guess we start another one and like make bad choices or something. Hmm. We've only done 25% of it. Let's go back to the lighthouse. Our town. Oh, I already gave shout outs, Dan. Okay. Let's go back to let's go back to the beach. And let's go to wait. Why don't we go to the let's go to the cage. Seriously, what are they trying to catch? Giant lobsters or tourists? You chuckle, a tourist trap. It's all you find here. You linger for a bit, then walk back to the sandy part of the beach. Pretty sure I did all of these. It would be better, even better with like a drink, but hopefully the barman will return soon. You rest your chin on your hand, close your eyes and let the sound of the waves and the cool breeze wash over you. Time passes, your bottom slowly becomes numb on the uncomfortable bar stool, but now you are too lazy to move. Finally, yeah, about time, some of the tourists proclaim, "What's going on there?" A bored-looking man enters the area behind the bar. You wonder how old he is. But, okay, so it's Zeke. We're not going to take the drink. Is this place always this busy? There's a steady rush at the bar. The tourists continue to enjoy their drinks, and nobody seems to want to leave the beach bar. Not bad for the northeast coast in late September. This place always... Is this busy, you inquire? Nope. Bit busier this weekend, but wait until midnight. Then the party really starts, if you know what I mean. He winks at you. Know exactly what he means and wink back at him. So you know what's going to happen at midnight. No. What's going to happen at midnight? You say, betraying your utter cluelessness. He pointedly rolls his eyes. Fine, you won't be on the VIP list then. They're lost. Well, the real party is happening, Ziegel explains in a condescending tone. Right down by the sea. If you want to be hip, you should go there. You feel a bit queasy to the stomach. So we're gonna say yes. I'd like to have some random dude call you hip. Count me in. How exciting. Only with great difficulty do you manage to keep your composure and continue the conversation. We're gonna leave him in peace. With a heavy heart, you leave the man to his work. You've already spent too much time during this investigation at the beach bar. So what now? The sea breeze makes you sleepy. You trot towards the deck chairs. Okay. I'm gonna go over and talk to them again. See what we can... That's right. We already... I mean, they tell us nothing. Then we have the thing about the chairs, or the cages. Okay, so we're gonna wake up. We're gonna follow the lights this time, I think. Go towards the lights. Why not? The day is almost over anyway, and maybe you can at least manage to figure out what the lights and things are all about. You trudge through the sand. Then you notice that the lights you are heading towards are moving. They do not stand still, but twitch back and forth. Hang on a moment. You're on a beach. It's night. Weird blinking lights. Are you a rave? That makes sense. The only question is whether you'll join the party or not. Hi, Nika. Aw, hello. Hello, readers. Who are you playing? Diablo 4. Welcome in, welcome in. How's it going? How you been? Hey. Welcome in. Welcome in, raiders. Of course. How was your stream? Are you liking Diablo 4? I see so many people are playing that. Thank you. How's everybody doing? We're just playing a story game. Thank you for the follow. I feel like we're not actually meant to find the girl that's missing in this story. I think it's just a trap. So now I just have to figure out how to get all the deaths. Thanks. How's everybody? Happy July. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to yawn. How was your stream? Strange. Oh, into vibes. It's about, yeah. It's kind of, I don't know if it's really chill. Like, a lot of reading. Strange statico movements and colorful glow sticks. You've always been a fan of things that move quickly and emit light. Just like most cats. That's why rave parties have always fascinated you. You hurry along. You've arrived somewhat indecisively. You stand on a sand dune and take in the spectacle. There are 20, maybe 30 people who have gathered here on the beach close to the waves. You can see that they are naked under the rags and nets that they are wearing on their bodies. They are performing a sensual and seemingly uncontrolled dance while waving glow sticks in the air. The masks that people are wearing seem familiar from film and television. Distorted faces with angry mouths and ugly goggle eyes. Reminds you a little of voodoo, but here on the coast of New England, you're not quite sure anymore whether you are at a rave party or actually an exotic fertility ritual. The acoustics are bad. Instead of the clear techno beat the people here rely on singing. They could do with rehearsing, though. Without any sense of rhythm, the people are chanting the same refrain over and over again. Watch, take part, leave. We're gonna watch. You make yourself comfortable on the cool sand of the dune. A good decision. You have a perfect view of the dancers, a bizarre spectacle all in all, and exotic. You didn't think that a dump like Innsmouth would put on performances like these. The men and women stretch their bodies into impossible shapes and keep singing their admittedly somewhat monotonous song. For minutes on end, they run around in circles on the sand. The ground is marked with glowing green spray paint. The people keep brushing against each other. Some of them are really going for it and have started licking each other. Yeah. Totally. Disapprove? Should we join in or disapprove? We're going for deaths here, so let's go. The whole point of holidays is doing crazy things you normally wouldn't. And besides, nobody here knows you. You sneak up to the group of dancers and attempt to seamlessly blend into the chaotic spectacle. You are lucky. In the midst of the rags that most people are wearing here, your detective outfit doesn't particularly stand out. You're just another freak among many. Right. You get swept in the ecstasy of the dance. Your thighs tremble and your arms wiggle about you. You throw back your head and join the loud chanting. Yeah, yeah, Sully frogs. You enthusiastically imitate the chant. A few glow sticks have been dropped during the dance and lie abandoned in the sand. When you bend down to pick up one of them, you realize that they are not disposable glow sticks at all. They're algae, glowing algae. You keep dancing cheerfully. Past the bizarre mass with swollen eyes, which up close look much more threatening. Bit scary. From a distance, this horror part of the show would have completely escaped you. The party seems to be shifting on to the next phase. The dancers have now stopped their ecstatic movements and stand still with their outstretched arms facing the ocean. Silence, complete silence, apart from the monotonous murmur of the waves. Then you can make out another sound, a strange hissing. Another group of amateur actors joins the dancers. They come straight out of the water and wear costumes more suitable for Halloween than a rave party. Greenish scales cover their costumes as if, or is it professional makeup? The scaly skin costumes look super real. The muscular, clumsy, and much too long arms end in a set of lifelike claws. The heads are a mixture of a dumb-looking fish and deadly grizzly. Whoever came up with this mask seriously needs to see a therapist. When the first masked creature reaches the group of dancers, you realize that these guys must have seriously trained for this gig. All of them have bodies you can only get through years of hard physical training and guzzling down loads of steroids. They're also stark naked. You tilt your head involuntarily. Some things on bodies are quite difficult to replicate, even with paper mache or plastic mold. You know this from your own Halloween craft endeavors. It is even more difficult to make these things move and react authentically. It takes a lot of willpower to tear your eyes away from the sight. The dance group seems to welcome the newcomers warmly. They mingle. Each of the costume giants seems to know exactly with whom they want to spend the evening. It does not take long, and every party guest is paired up with one of the fish creatures. You stand a little off to the side and watch as they explore each other's bodies. Then they start to, whoa, okay, this party is definitely X-rated, a brave choice for a tourist entertainment program. While you are still gasping for air indignantly, the couples are already rolling in the sand, groaning with pleasure. Only one of the costume giants has not yet found a partner. His milky eyes fall on you. Oh, stalks over to you on his long legs. With one of his claws, he points at you, then at himself. Oh, no, thank you. Oh, why the hell not? Get over here. Oh my gosh. Why not? Or do we say no? I don't know at this point. Okay. Thank you. Thank you again for the raid. We're gonna Say no thank you. Oh, no, 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 thanks, you say quickly, holding your hands defensively. Somehow the guy manages to wrinkle his chunky forehead. Unbelievable how lifelike the mask looks. You think to yourself again, then his body jerks forward. On his stilt legs, he stands tall and proud in front of you, and then tightens his fists as far as his claws allow it. The tooth mouth opening of the fish mask emits a soft hissing sound. Run. No means no, fish face. I think we're gonna run. You do what you're best at. Create chaos. In one flowing movement, you squat down slightly, grab a handful of sand, throw it in the monster's face. The eyes of the stranger seem not to be well protected by the Popeye mask. At least that's how you interpreted the scream while running away from the creature. Was this a sex cult? Did you misbehave in any way? Will you regret your decision? All these are questions you ask yourself later on while having a hot shower. But for now, best to get away from here. Without looking back, you continue to run, the faint lights of the town firmly in view. We made it out of the beach. I think it's a sex cult. I think it was a sex cult. Oh my god. Oh god. What are you doing, Dean?
Playing with these.
So, but I've already done the hotel ones, I think. Hey, Stitch. Telephone. Hey, Ro. Okay, so we've already done these. Yeah, we're back into this. We're just gonna go ahead and face it and wake up. Well, what happens if we close our eyes? Nothing matters over. You shift your weight, swing your leg, and kick. By Jove, you kick. Your initial plan was to kick that thing in the face. This is easier said than done with a shape-shifting blob, but if you're lucky, maybe a head will spontaneously form where your foot lands. Another sound, no steps this time. Sounds more like a wet sack falling over. Good kick. A heavy load has been lifted off your shoulders. You feel free. You wake up. Wonderful dream, the kind where you face your subconscious fears and defeat them. Maybe the fact that your subconscious has projected an obnoxious blob should give you food for thought, but you can go over the details with a therapist later. The successful fight against this nightmare creature has relaxed you. Sleep the sleep of the righteous, or something like that. Your sleep is only interrupted when you hear a soft chant. Seems a group of people has invaded your room while you were sleeping, carrying torches and pitchforks. They have squeezed themselves between the bed and the closets, their faces hidden by hoods. You're quite grateful for the hoods because they hide the hideous faces of these locals. Your suspicion that radioactive waste is being disposed of in Innsmouth is confirmed once again. The light of the torches dances frantically on the wrinkled faces of the people staring down at you. Shining beetle eyes, bulging lips. You've seen these deformations many times during your short time in this town. While the crowd merely gazes at you like you're an animal in a zoo, a pop-eyed man with sunken cheeks leans over you in his hands. He holds something shiny. He's holding a knife right over the place where your heart is. The man remains in this position and clears his throat quietly. Oh, well, this is inconvenient. Scream. Hey, what the heck? Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me, you beg and feel utterly pathetic. And the people under the robe seem to agree. How cute. Someone in the back row giggles, sounds suspiciously like the voice of a small child. Silence, heathen, the man with the knife hisses. The room quickly turns quiet again. Any sense of bemusement has vanished. Father Dagon, Mother Hydra, accept the sacrifice. Without hesitation, he plunges life into your heart again and again. Well, we died. We already had that one, though. Let's see. Nope. It won't let me go to the... Let's see. We will go back here. I want to go to the harbor. Was that an option? Yeah, let's go to the harbor. I guess I didn't choose the right things also at the beach in order to get, like, some of those ones. We're gonna look around. The view of the harbor is splendid. Boats of all shapes and sizes are coming and going. Nets are being emptied out. The fish seem to be endlessly splashing into huge freezer boxes. Local trades are being sealed with handshakes. And at the end of the wide headland, a huge lighthouse watches majestically over the bay, the ideal postcard motif if it weren't for the people. You only know fishermen from the movies, and you have to admit that you have certain prejudice. These include they have weather-beaten skin, and the captains always have well-groomed beards. They're either strong, silent types or hard-drinking lads who sing filthy sea shanties. But these creatures in front of you are neither majestic nor hilary. They move around more like tragic hunchbacks you'd expect to see in French cathedrals. A few yards to the right, there's a fork in the road, and the road sign pointing further north is inscription reads Innsmouth Paradise Beach. In the far distance, you can see a building that looks like a church. Hang on, a church on the coast? How eccentric. I saw it. Hydrate. Yes. We're gonna go to the lighthouse again, and we're gonna go up the stairs this time. Let's see. They want your body. We're gonna do danger. No, I didn't. I'm gonna enter. I'm trying to get another death. We're gonna see what happens. We're gonna walk up the stairs. Keep walking. Just because the core of the spiral staircase is a bit loose, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to collapse, right? And perhaps it's just the residual alcohol in your bloodstream that's causing everything to spin. You carefully continue your way to one of the higher floors. About 30 feet above the entrance hall is the first mezzanine floor. A metal plate in the core of the spiral staircase would also provide some stability if the whole thing wasn't so damn rusty. You can see a plain bed, a desk with a telephone, a chest of drawers, and a wardrobe with an embedded mirror. A Persian carpet is laid out over the ribbed metal floor, a pathetic attempt to make this room a little more homely. At least there is a window on this level. Rain pelts against the glass. The weather outside seems to get worse and worse. Inspect the room more closely? Yes. There's not much to explore here. Some neatly folded sheets and bedding have been placed on the bed, awaiting a new inhabitant, perhaps. You turn to the desk. On it are a few envelopes and an atlas. You inspect we're gonna inspect the envelopes. You grab an envelope from the stack. Your fingers slide over the rough, fibrous paper. In the faint light, you can see how yellowed the envelope is. Either this is specially made paper from the craft shop, or these letters are pretty old. The envelope is not sealed, so you fish out 10 $100 bills and a piece of paper with strange doodles that don't make sense to you. Is that a language? The characters are too chaotic for a normal text, going across in rows and back again. On the back, you find a small text in English, means of payment necessary for the purchase of goods and service, valid from to, with some doodles instead of a date. Maybe it's art. The only question is whether you're going to pocket the money or not. No, that would be theft. With a heavy heart, you stuff the note and the bills back into the envelope. The money does not belong to you, and whoever it is, for that someone might return soon. You take great pains not to look in the wardrobe mirror. You probably look like you took a bite out of a lemon. We're going to inspect the bed. Doesn't look super cozy. There's a note pinned to the headboard. Place of rest, used for sleep cycle and procreation rituals. Traditionally used during the nighttime for care instructions and terminology check. The rest of the note is not legible and covered up by strange scribbles. Okay, so it's like they're leaving instructions for somebody. The Alice from 1984 is still in amazingly good condition. You'd think that it had been sitting here on the desk for decades, waiting just for you. You look through the table of contents and then flip through the atlas. Some pages are marked. Areas in Antarctica and Australia are marked with strange curls. In addition, pages about the United States, the state of Massachusetts and the surroundings of Innsmouth are marked. A yellowed row map of Innsmouth has been stuck into these pages like a bookmark. The lighthouse is marked. On the last page you will find an entry. Land mass distribution in political territories, valid for, followed by a series of the same curl. You put back the book, how you found it. Inspect the telephone. It's an old telephone with a dial plate. Just for fun, you pick up the receiver and get a dial tone. Next to the phone is another note. Communication apparatus connects acoustically to other similarly constructed equipment after the identification number is entered. Identification numbers can be obtained in person or from the central register provided. Under the phone are two old books dating back to the 70s. The first one is a consumer electronics manual. A short leaf through shows you manuals and construction plans for TVs, cameras, telephones, radios, cars, and the like. The other book is a Boston phone book. There's a bookmark peeking out of the side of it. When you open the book on the page, the phone number of the carpet cleaning company is marked. Call the number, don't touch the phone. We'll call the number. On a whim, you decide to call the number. Maybe someone on the other end has an explanation for all of this. You know that it's very likely that the shop is bankrupt and the connection has been switched off. After all, the number is from the early 70s. To your surprise, there's a signal, and it seems to ring at the other end. After 4 or 5 rings, someone actually picks up the phone, but instead of a voice, you hear a series of strange clicking noises as if a giant cricket or an angry lobster were at the other end. Hang up. Hello? Hello, anybody there? The clicking sound on the other end ceases, and a voice comes through the receiver. Cole's carpet cleaner, James speaking. How can I help? I'm calling from a lighthouse. I'm calling from a lighthouse, really. Have you ever looked at the sea from above? There's something quite surreal about the answer. No. You should definitely do that. The view is breathtaking. Would go so far as to say it could change your whole life. But if you're in Innsmouth, there's nothing I can do for you. We only clean carpets in Boston. Now, if you excuse me, I have work to do. Hang up. You think you have seen enough and continue to follow the banister up the stairs. Meanwhile, thunder and lightning outside have become so furious, just as if the center of the storm is the lighthouse itself. Stoically, you continue your way upstairs. The banister continues to wobble and squeak suspiciously, but it withstands the strain. The radius of the spiral staircase gradually becomes smaller. You estimate that you are now halfway up the building. You walk past another platform floor. This level is obviously used for nothing else but storing boxes. At least 30 or 40 stacked boxes full to the brim with books. Seeing all these books causes a warm, fuzzy feeling in the pit of your stomach. You need to be sick. We're going to do this one. How adorable. The previous lighthouse keepers must have been bibliophiles. You hope that you get to meet them, even though the place does look pretty deserted. Inspect the books. You take a moment to examine the boxes and their contents more closely. Quickly, you realize that these are almost exclusively non-fiction books. You discover lexicons, grammar for English and Spanish, non-fiction books on biology, chemistry, physics, and geography. There's also a Bible, a guide to etiquette, and a worn handbook for tourists on the East Coast. Out of interest, you flip through some of the books. The newest ones seem to be from around the 1980s, but some go as far back as the 20s. Many are decorated with strange curls around the edges. In the last box, you find a few books that differ greatly from the scientific character of the rest. These are books about occultism and obscure religions, titles like The Mysteries of the Worm, Unspeakable Cults, and Liber Ivorus. Then there's also a book by a popular UFO nutcase, and suddenly everything makes sense. Maybe the lighthouse keeper was a little soft in the head, probably the loneliness. You keep walking up the stairs, past another mezzanine, and then you're on the upper level of the lighthouse. It's getting more and more unlikely that you'll find anything relating to your case here. Oh well. Up to the last level, examine the mezzanine. We're going to examine the mezzanine. You find a strange collection of objects on this level: sports, equipment, musical instruments, and toys. The objects seem to have no connection to each other. In one corner, you can see an old tube television set with a Betamax device connected to it. Maybe it's worth looking through all this. Perhaps you'll find something valuable or interesting. Let's start at the top. As a sports grump, you never manage to understand why people, after they have mastered mobility without using legs, would still voluntarily stand on bicycles or treadmills for fun. You suspect it must be a deep-seated masochism in the collective soul. The sports equipment includes a bicycle trainer, a treadmill, and a device that simulates climbing stairs. The latter seems particularly pointless to you, as this tower, by God, already has enough stairs. In general, you do not understand why all these devices had to be carried up all the way to the second to last floor. In addition, all the sports equipment looks like it's hardly ever been used. On each machine, there is a small row of pictograms that show the use of the machine. At first, you think that they are instructions from the manufacturer, but then you realize the pictograms are hand-drawn. Interesting. The toys. It is a bunch of colorful objects arranged on a table. You find a Rubik's Cube, a plastic hoop, some juggling balls, and a bunch of Mikado sticks. There's also a few of those annoying skill-based games where you have two metal hooks tangled together and you have to get them apart somehow, but you can't make it work and get frustrated and just want to have tequila shots and be left alone with that kind of nonsense, Emma. That's not why you came to the pub. You know the kind. Besides toys, you also find a pen and a piece of blank paper, a key and padlock, some tins, a can opener, a plate of cutlery, and other everyday items. On the wall behind the table hangs a large poster on which someone has drawn two hands. It's labeled Hands. Know your tools. Underneath are some hand gestures that you can use to create shadow play. You fiddle for a bit and expand your repertoire. Now you can do the crane, the elephant, and the crossroads. So there's musical instruments. You see a piano and a guitar. You shudder just thinking about the poor soul who had to drag the piano up to this floor. On top of the piano are some sheets of paper. Strangely enough, they are not musical scores, but a collection of curls and drawings of finger positions. It seems as if the piano was intended less as a musical instrument and more as a training ground for finger acrobatics. You don't know what to make of all this. An old tube TV with a video recorder attached, Betamax to be exact. A cassette is lying on the top of the device with a note saying, "Information memory, insert into device and activate data playback." Watch the video. You can't think of anything better to do with your time, so you insert the cassette and start the machine. The picture quality is, well, that of a video cassette. There doesn't seem to be any sound, just a series of images of people walking, strolling, running, hiking. The material seems to be cut together from different sources. It's the ring tape, yeah. Regardless of context, you see excerpts from movies, sports news, aerobic videos, music shows, then follow footage of people sitting on chairs, climbing stairs, dancing, cycling, swimming, all in complete silence. Finally, the stream goes dark. Just as you're about to take the tape out of the recorder, a new section of the recording begins. Again, it's the same wild mix of source material. This time, the focus is on hands. Clapping hands, gesticulating hands, hands that use typewriters, cutting food, steering cars and other things. You wait desperately for an explanation, but the whole movie is completely silent. Then the picture turns black, and with a loud click, the tape is ejected. Well, that was a waste of time. At least no creepy Japanese kids crawled out of the TV. Nice. Nice. Nothing else, up to the last level. The last steps are always the hardest, or was it the first ones? No matter which steps, your heart is now beating so strongly that you can feel it pressing against your chest. Once you're back home, you should really consider a healthier lifestyle. Yeah. At last, you have reached the top floor of the lighthouse. Dulled glass windows separate you from the thunderstorm outside. Rain pours down on the panes, and lightning occasionally illuminates the sky and reveals the billowing sea. If you were an artist, this would be the ideal place to paint tasteless paintings with ships on the churning waters. In the center of the floor, there is a metal column that must be there to support the lighthouse's uppermost platform. You assume that all this serves to stabilize and balance the construction. Apart from that, the floor is completely unfurnished. Sheets of paper with strange doodles are fixed to some of the window panes. Pencil portraits of people, trees, houses, dogs. Around each drawing, someone seems to have made notes, but you can't make out the language. You wonder if it was a destitute artist who lived here towards the end, or some sort of Russian sleeper agent. Another ramp leads to the top of the lighthouse, where the actual lighthouse apparatus must be installed. You walk up the steep stairs. You've done it. You made it to the top of the lighthouse. Not in a million years did you think that this job would take you to such an exciting place in a boring coastal town. There is still a nasty thunderstorm out there, and the lightning keeps illuminating the glass cage in erratic intervals. Spellbound, you look at the roaring waves. They're beautiful. The powerful and steady movement of the waves, the foamy salt water splashing up, oh, so incredibly high. You're so enticed by all the majestic beauty that you almost wish you were outside now to feel the fresh sea breeze on your skin. But wait, why did you come here again? You try to tear yourself away from the endless spectacle of the sea and turn your attention to the center of the small glass dome. It is then that you make a curious observation. The lighthouse has no light at all. There is no light construction that could rotate in the direction of the harbor or the sea, not even a flashlight on a microphone stand. Where you would expect some sort of electrical machine, there is only a black column of about 3 feet height, whose curved forms merge at the top into a kind of marble plate. An altar, a voice in the back of your head informs you. There's a cube on the altar. Look at the cube more closely. Intrigued, you walk closer. The material of the cube must be bronze. It glistens dully in front of the black marble column. The object looks as if it belongs just there. It's perfect right where it is. Everything looks as if it's been made from one piece. What you first thought was some arbitrary decoration turns out to be hieroglyphics. Cranes, simple twos, knowing eyes. Curiously, you walk to the column on which the cube rests. What are Egyptian hieroglyphs doing in a lighthouse on the east coast of the United States? Your fingers are itching. Take the cube into your position. We're going to pick it up. Just for a brief second, you simply have to hold the bronze cube in your hands. Feel the texture of its surface on your fingertips. Inspect the hieroglyphics more closely. Measure its exact weight. Smell it. Lick it. You have to know everything, absolutely everything about it. You extend your hand and touch the cube. and now you can't let go of it again. It seems to have melted into your skin or somehow attached itself to you. Yes, it is sucked into itself onto you, and it continues to suck. Your consciousness and your soul, everything is now trapped in a never-ending slipstream coming from this cube. You feel like you're caught in a mighty vortex that pulls you down deeper and ever deeper. All of a sudden, you have a strange out-of-body experience and start to see yourself from the perspective of the cube. You feel something unbelievably strange beside you. Some sort of being has emerged from the depth of the vortex and is passing you by to float in the opposite direction. Your soul is swallowed by the cube, and something strange occupies your body, loosens the last anchors, and pushes you over the edge. You cling desperately to your mortar shell, and then your consciousness starts to crumble. For a brief moment, you think that from the perspective of the cube, you're looking at eyes that no longer belong to you. Then everything goes black. As you wake up from restless dreams, bright light shines into your eyes. It feels like a burning sensation directly penetrating into your brain. After the initial shock, you gradually come to your senses. You are no longer in the lighthouse. You find yourself in a huge round chamber made of dark, smooth stone. Curved lines adorn the walls and give off a soft fluorescent glow. You begin to wonder how many hours you've been knocked out. Did you have a stroke? No wonder, given all the stress you constantly put yourself under. A sound, a chirping and clacking that vaguely reminds you of insects. Only it's louder, and it seems to be coming from behind you. Someone's in this room with you. You turn around quickly, trying to find the source of the clacking sound, and you regret it immediately. Hideous, bizarre monsters are lined up in front of you like on the set of a bad horror movie. They're basically just huge cones of flesh covered with a thin film of slime. Ooh. You instinctively think of slugs. They have uneven skin covered with furrows and wrinkles and a thin film of mucus. You involuntarily think back to your childhood, to that dark period you refer to as the Big Snail Plague. You shudder at the thought of the army of snails that torpedoed your tender attempts to grow your own small tomato plantation in the family garden. Then came the rats. But right now you have other problems. The flesh cones are a bizarre sight. Your mind is having trouble processing what it sees. At the top of the flesh cones, there are 4 tentacle-like growths, each ending in a different organ. 2 form huge, sharp claws that appear to be clicking incessantly. Another one ends in a jumble of trumpet-like tubes, and a 4th one forms what you think is the head of the creature. A round organ with 3 eyes, a set of feelers above, and a ring of tentacles just below. Half a dozen of these creatures now stare at you from their bright yellow eyes, clicking their scissors maniacally. I'm murdering that word, I'm sorry. One of the beings breaks away from the group and comes towards you with its claws raised. Try to run away, you prepare for a fight, you start to scream. Try to run away. The creature moves like a snail. It has no legs, rather its base expands and contracts again. Another feature is that it has in common with snails is that it is not particularly fast. You look around and scan the room. There's a door on the other side. You start running, but nothing happens. You want to move your feet, but something feels wrong. The creature is getting closer. It has already covered over half the distance between you. A feeling of doom sets in. Why can't you move? You can't even feel your legs. You're trapped somehow. Tied down, perhaps? You look down at yourself. But instead of your hands, these scissors at the end of the tendrils appear in front of your eyes. You stare down at yourself in disbelief and find yourself transformed into a monstrous vermin. Where you were expecting to see your legs, there is only a fleshy cone from which 4 tentacles grow, a pitiful claw arm, a trumpet-like extension, and your neck. You are no longer in your own body. What is happening to me, you ask yourself, but you already know it yourself. You are one of those monsters. You faint. You should be able to understand me now. You open your eyes. You are still in the same position where you lost consciousness. Only a brief moment seems to have passed. What is this pinching feeling on your neck? Looks like a small device has been attached to your new body. Waking up in a new body is disturbing. I understand that. So first of all, let me reassure you that this state is not permanent, and when you return, you won't remember anything. You hear the voice not through your ears or the comparable organ in this body, but directly in your head. What you hear is the clicking of scissors. I've attached a translation device to you. We can now discuss all the questions you no doubt have. Evidently, the beings communicate with each other via their scissors. Who are you? Creature straightens up. We, the translation in your head begins with an air of gravitas. The great race of Yith. We are the wisest species in the whole of creation. Countless eons ago, but also in the distant future, we made it our mission to gather all the knowledge of the universe. We have sent our agents through space and time to observe and study. When we learned of our own demise in this way, we transplanted our spirits en masse into this form that you now see before you. Your new friend seems to want to do a playful pirouette to show off his body, but since he is resting on a slimy snail's foot, the process takes a good 2 minutes. Snazzy, isn't it? So functional and sturdy. His scissors rub against each other, which your device translates as a bashful coughing. Anyway, to answer your question more directly, I am Merton. My colleagues and I are archivists in the Great Library of Pancatus, Department of Human Studies, Western Hemisphere Subdivision, Pre-Nuclear America Working Group, or as we call ourselves, the amoebocytes. The tough amoebas, as if they've rehearsed it before. The other youth in the room began to shout, "Tough amoebocytes!" Oh my gosh. Great, they're nerds. Where am I? The creature is thinking, "You're in Australia, huh? You've always imagined Australia differently. The important question is, when are you?" Clicks one of the beings from further back in the room. The creature close to you abruptly turns its long neck towards the heckler. "Damn it, Frank. That's my favorite part of the newcomer lecture. Don't spoil it for me. Although you do not yet have much control over your new body, you can apparently roll your eyes. Okay, when am I?" But the creature in front of you seems to be in a huff. "Man, it's no fun now. You're on Pangea in the Permian period, in the late Paleozoic era, where in the distant future Australia will one day arise, about 250 million years before we picked you up." Oh my god. Time travel? I've traveled through time. Now it's the creature's turn to roll its eyes. To make this brief, yes, you did. Yes, like on TV. Just completely different. No, we don't keep a record of lottery numbers. No, we have no interest in killing fascists while they are still children. No, we cannot start any paradoxes. The universe is predetermined, and free will is an illusion. Yes, that can be a bit depressing at times, but also very liberating if you think about it for a moment. Yes, we also know about Back to the Future. Any other questions? Yes, if you can time travel, why do I have to wait here for years for my body to be released? Would it not be possible to send me back to the point in time where your colleague leaves my body at this very moment? The creature nods slowly. Yes, you'd think, wouldn't you? What has happened to my body? The translator transformed your thought into clicking sounds. You can only hope that the pressing nature of your question has not been lost in translation. Yes, that's the unpleasant part of the lecture. You touched one of our carefully placed transmitters, so your mind was switched with one of our agents. Carefully placed transmitter. You mean the cube? The cube at the top of the abandoned and locked lighthouse in the forgotten backwoods village in the middle of nowhere? I guess the transmitter is placed in a way that ensures that it is only found by people who are not easily missed. While you are here, our agent is gathering vital information about your society, environment, using your body. You are to remain here in his body and must wait until he has completed his mission. Then we will erase your memory so you won't take any of our superior knowledge with you and send you back. Yeah, Attack of the Body Snatchers, sort of. And how long does that normally take? The creature answers sleepily. Oh, 3 to 10 years max. This information hits you like a kick in the stomach, which in this body seems to be at the bottom of the fleshy cone. It's a very unusual feeling. But I'm on a mission. I need to find a little girl. People are counting on me. The creature looks at you with something that, even despite the strange facial features, you manage to recognize as skepticism. If your mission was so important, why did you waste so much time in a lighthouse? Good question, actually. You need to accept that your mission is over. Try to use your time here productively. Oh, no. I'm hungry. I only eat vegetarian food. Do you have good vegetarian snacks? The creature nods confusedly. Strange question, but yes, it is very important that the food is completely plant-based. Oh, don't worry, we are all vegetarians. There are no other food options. Our species has evolved to the point where we have been feeding ourselves for ages without harming other intelligent life. Somehow this answer doesn't make you as happy as it should. There's no sense of that usual feeling of moral superiority. Oh my gosh, I can't. That settles in when you talk about your eating habits. You feel a little down. The yith clacks insecurely with its scissors. So, should I get you something to eat? Oh, never mind, you say. I'm not that hungry after all. No questions. The creature seems to be baffled by this. Really? None? Nope. Okay, in that case, we'll set you up for training so you can get to know your new body a bit better. Once you've made some progress, we will teach you to write in Yith, and then you can start with writing down your life story. Frank, can you give me a hand here? Oh no. Frank arrives with a machine that looks like a mix between a forklift truck and spatula. He carefully scrapes your currently still useless snail body off the floor and transports you out of the room. I don't know where I ended up. First, you learn to control your new body. The trumpet-like extensions, which simultaneously serve as a breathing organ, mouth, and waste outlet, prove to be the biggest challenge. You can only eat if your whole body is working on the task. You almost suffocated several times while eating. You sincerely hope that the agent using your human body is doing a better job of it. Then you start to learn the curved script of the Yith. In fact, everything in the culture of the Yith is curved, smooth, or circular. They have an extreme aversion to right angles. When you ask Frank about it, he replies something about the dogs of the Tindaloo who live in the corners of time and hunt time travelers. Fair enough, you start to settle in. All in all, Yiths prove to be quite boring people once you actually get to know them. Their bodies do not allow for much mobility. They have no sense for fiction, and they reproduce via spores, a very impersonal process which ensures that sex and love and all the dramas associated with them are completely unknown in their society. Since you are living in a host body, you are not allowed to take drugs or participate in any exciting or dangerous activities. The vegetarian food of the Yith is either very bland or their taste buds are not very developed. Perhaps it's by design, since this species takes in and excretes food through a single organ. You would kill for a bag of potato chips. Then comes the point where you're asked to write down your autobiography. A truthful account of your life, a mix between spy stories and adventure novels with a sprinkle of karate. We're going to do a truthful account. Your story. This creepy yet fascinating race of aliens wants to hear your story. That anybody wants to hear your story. You'll never get a chance like this again. You start writing. You write about your average childhood, boring jobs, friendships, romances, little triumphs and defeats that nonetheless always motivated you to go on. That was the easy part. The trumpet-like arm with which you hold the alien writing device stills. Your autobiography has almost reached the present moment. The reason for your presence in the realm, the Yith. the incredibly stupid decision to turn to a life as a private investigator caused by boredom and the consumption of too many Hollywood movies. If only you hadn't given up your old job. We'll do this one, a civil servant. Virtually non-determinable, a solid salary, holidays that you can take with a clear conscience. Had it not been for the actual work, the senselessness of which regularly plunged you into deep valleys of despair. Putting all your experiences and feelings into words proves to be a good form of therapy. You can't wait to turn your life around. If only you weren't stuck in this lump of alien meat. After a few dull moments, it's finally time for a party. In a large hall, one of the archivists gives an extremely long and boring lecture on the importance of rapeseed oil in various human and post-human civilizations. All the youth gather around small bar tables in the area and listen intently as they sip on nourishing slime, which is slightly sweeter than usual. Afterwards, there is a competition in solving quantum equations. The different working groups complete with nerdy and terribly boring team names, compete against each other. Archivists of your working group, the tough amoebocytes, are kicked out early on by the Atlantic pre-humanite and the persistent Plymouthans. A lukewarm applause. It is particularly an August celebration by youth standards. I don't know. For you, the most important part of the evening is the first contact with other guests of the youth, other beings pushed out of their bodies by the agents of the library and hurled through time, stand around in their guest bodies and talk to each other quietly. Fortunately, they have small name tags on which you can see not only their names and working group, but also their species of origin. With you at the table are two creatures who are identified as Gregor, Homo sapiens, and she's the daughter of the second Amazon desert epoch. Wow. You have the urgent need to talk to someone to avoid dying of brain hemorrhage due to boredom. We're going to talk to Gregor. Another human being, the first contact in months you've had with another person. You turn to Gregor. So, hi, it's nice to meet a fellow human being. Where exactly are you from? Gregor's head flops towards you. He seems to have been lost in thought, but you have the feeling that he is happy to have an opportunity to talk. Is this true? Another human being? I'm so happy to finally be able to talk to a comrade. My name is Gregor Ivanshkov. I'm from Kiev. Bob's about... And when are you from? Gregor's upper tentacle briefly twitches. Only a few seconds later do you realize that it was probably an attempt at a tired smile, performed by a person in a body that meets exactly 0 of the anatomical requirements for a smile. The last thing I remember is celebrating Labor Day with my friends. That was in 1980. I was promised that in 6 years, at the very latest, I would be allowed to go on with my life. And I will. Chernobyl, here I go. Luckily, you're currently in a robust youth body because your human face would be chalk white by now. Warn him of Chernobyl. I'd stay away from Chernobyl, mate. You warn him with a slow clacking of your scissors. What? But why? He clacks back. At least now you have his full attention. Well, Chernobyl, everyone knows about Chernobyl in my time. His eyes went, yes? Why is that? There was an awful reactor incident, and, damn it. If only you'd paid a bit more attention to things while you were still human. You desperately try to combine the tidbits of knowledge you have into a plausible story. Hundreds of acres of land were contaminated, maybe even more. Gregor does not seem convinced. It all sounds to me like you know very little about Mother Russia, my friend. His scissors snips back and forth 3 times. They have a strange... Hold on just a moment. Sorry, my daughter just texted me. His scissors snips back and forth 3 times. They have a strange sense of humor in the capitalist states. Your honorable intention to warn Gregor of his potentially painful death is beginning to waver. The guy is slowly but surely getting on your nerves. What's more, he will have forgotten everything he learned here in his time with the Yith. You've got to let him live his life. Leave the party. This is how you pass your time. Despite your initial bumps, you end up getting more closely acquainted with Gregor in, let's just call her Zool. Your shared fate is what ties you together. Over the coming months and years, you end up becoming friends and sharing common interests. You spend most of your time studying human history. Gregor managed to get you interested in the history of mankind and Earth in general, and you spend a lot of time in the library or talking to other guests of the Yith. You become quite an expert in human history, even epochs whose knowledge is almost complete lost in your time, like the Chronicles of Hyperborea. You also learn many things about the lives and history of the Native Americans, things no one ever taught you at school. You have long and intense debates with Zool about philosophy and learn new and interesting things about yourself. Sometimes, in quiet moments, you wonder what you would do if you were back in your old body. You get the feeling that you have never really learned to appreciate it. This is how the years go by, and towards the end, the boredom with the Yith becomes almost bearable, and then your time with the Yith is over. Finally, the day has come. You're being led into the transport room. It's the same room you arrived in so many years ago. When the process starts, you overhear 2 of the librarians talk. You erased this participant's memory, right? I thought you were doing that. Oh, and you're gone. Where are we? You wake up, as you have woken many times before, after drunken nights out in some dive bar, after awful parties at which you drank yourself into a stupor. But it's different this time. The flickering before your eyes ceases. The agony and dissertation give way to a sense of clarity that you've rarely felt. We're back at home, in Boston, by the way. Your normally slightly hazy thoughts are clear, not a shallow pond, but a crystal clear lake. Your memory is filled with knowledge from the intensive studies you have undertaken in the great library. So much knowledge. Your gaze wanders through the room in which you find yourself. The room sits there calmly between these 4 well-known walls. You are at home on your sofa. Well, technically, it's not your sofa. It's a completely new one without the bugs and rats that have moved into a nest in the bottom. Everything is unnaturally clean, and the sofa does not seem to be the only piece of furniture that has been replaced. Later, you will find out that the Yith, who had swapped places with you, Later, you'll find out that the Yith who had swapped places with you has not only used his 6 years for highly efficient studies, he also applied for a position at the largest historical museum in Boston. Successfully, of course, because the Yith do not do things by halves. Your eyes light up as you read the number on your last paycheck. You hold the paper so close to your face that your nose brushes the paper. Twice a year, twice as often as you normally would, your possessed body has contacted your family, given what appear to be completely neutral, boring, and meaningless confirmations that you are fine. There are postcards from your relatives sending greetings from their holidays, postcards which say that they are proud of you, proud that you've managed to turn your life around. That's certainly one way of putting it. The Yith has eaten well, fresh fruit, the prescribed daily minimum of vitamins, proteins, and fiber to make his studies as efficient as possible. The Yith also exercise. In the bathroom, you look at your body and stretch it in front of the mirror. You take off one layer of clothing after another. 6 years have gone by. Intrigued, you look at your face in the mirror. A few more wrinkles for sure, yet you feel that your life is only just beginning. So, Yith we can. You spend 6 years of your life among the youth as if you had anything else going on. Crazy. Crazy. We're gonna go to the main menu. I want to look and see how many we've done. I need to go to the bathroom. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 endings.